May is now the betting favorite on DraftKings to win the NFL MVP award at plus 350. Stafford has dropped to second. That's the good news for the Patriots. The bad news is that the Chargers and their head coach Jim Harbaugh announced on Monday that his quarterback Justin Herbert will not play in their Week 18 game at Denver, which means the likelihood of a Broncos loss and New England securing the number one seed in the AFC took a massive hit. Patriots, meanwhile, are off today. They'll be back on the practice field on Wednesday ahead of their matchup with the Dolphins on Sunday in Foxborough. Nikola Jokic, who leads the NBA in assists and rebounds, went down last night during Denver's game with the Heat with what the Nuggets are calling a knee injury. He'll get an MRI today to determine the severity of the injury. Celtics will be back on the floor tonight in Utah, 9 p.m. tip. You can hear that game right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. John Wallach and Cedric Maxwell will be on the call. Bruins fell to the Flames last night, 2-1 in overtime. Andrew Peak had the tally for Boston. And at the World Juniors, James Hagens, Bruins pick, BC star, scored twice for the Americans as Team USA came back to beat Slovakia 6-5 and remain undefeated. Next up for the United States will be a date with Sweden on New Year's Eve. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by DN Van Lines. Take the chance out of your move and make the sure bet with DN Van Lines, an approved mover of the Department of Defense. DNVanlines.com. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Next update, 30 minutes.
Irish shot.
The Bruins.
Rebound score!
Play here. The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
You might hate me, but you're listening.
and Hardy
Don't bother me. I'm at the Pickle Palace.
on 98.5.
I know what I'm capable of.
He said something about peanut butter, right?
Yeah. Boning, baby. Make America nut again.
That's gross. That's disgusting.
Let's talk about cheese.
What are you going to have for lunch?
I was at dinner with my wife and a friend.
Kitty, kitty, pussy, kitty, kitty, kitty. Flap, flap, flap.
Shut up, I'm trying to talk to Paul.
Toucher and Hardy
Good luck trying to put your finger in it when there's a million holes.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
Good morning. It's Toucher and Hardy. Mark Dondero, Dan Roach, live from the Town Fair Tire Studio and on YouTube. Subscribe if you're able to do so. Roachy, good morning.
Morning, Mark.
Just a quick clarification. Drake May, minus 350 to win the MVP, currently leading the odds on DraftKings. I said plus 350. That was incorrect. I think I was distracted because it's Tiger Woods' 50th birthday.
That puts everything in perspective, doesn't it?
It does. You know what I was thinking? We got a lot to get to today. Big Monday night game from a Patriots perspective. We'll talk about that.
And we're going to talk big picture, too.
Big picture.
Patriots. Okay?
Patriots, Vrabel, around the NFL with what Jim Harbaugh sort of, what he decided and how that impacts the Patriots. We'll get to all that. But just real quick, I see so many, just on the Tiger thing, because it was brought up, I see so many videos that pop up. I'm a big golf guy, so they pop up on my timeline on Tiger Woods. And number one, that's got to be the biggest regret of my life from a sports fan's perspective. And obviously I was younger when Michael Jordan played and we didn't have the access that we have now. Because my memory of Michael Jordan predominantly just really centers around the series with the Jazz. I mean, I don't have much of a memory outside of that. Maybe a little bit against India, like very late in his career. Just because we didn't see it. If you didn't have the Bulls games, you watch it on SportsCenter, whatever. I didn't get clips on my phone and watch all the videos of his highlights every night and all these things, these dunks that would have been on now if he was playing today. So I remember the big games in the playoffs. I didn't watch him night in and night out, and I wish I had gone to see him when he came to Boston back in the day, but I just never did. We were more of a baseball. We went to see Ken Griffey Jr. and the Red Sox more. But Tiger, I just wasn't as into golf back in 2000, and I didn't appreciate the greatness when it was there. But he had so many. I mean, what he did in that sport and how far ahead he was of everybody else, and now having played the game for many years, understanding how difficult it is, and to just see how how dominant he was. You look at Scotty Scheffler, you look at Rory McIlroy. As good as they are, Scheffler in particular, they can't hold a candle to what Tiger Woods did and was in his prime. And it's just, I just regret not being more present for that level of greatness that we witnessed back between 99 and 2002 or whatever you want to call it. And just 50 years old is just madness to me to see him that old.
To me, it's we've seen great golfers, right? For me, I'm a little bit older than you. Growing up, it was always hearing about Jack Nicklaus and the dominance and rightly so with all the majors and everything that he's done. But yeah, when Tiger came on, it was just totally different than anything we'd really see. I remember being at Pleasant Valley Country Club in Sutton and watching John Daly play and watching John Daly hit over a foursome, with his drive and the ability to drive the golf ball. But he had so many other issues than demons, and I think we all know of by now. But not having the ability to hone that mental part of the game and become a champion, I think that's what everybody wanted. At the Pleasant Valley Country Club, I watched him on a par 3 basically miss a putt, miss it back, and then play hockey a little bit, and then tap it in for like a 12 or whatever, and then immediately from that hole, pick up his golf clubs, drive to his rental car, his courtesy car, and leave the golf course.
John Daly?
Yes. Wow. And on like the first round of a tournament, he was done. He was done with the tournament, done with everything. And for Tiger to mentally hone in, and that's where he beat you, basically. You just talked about Scheffler and all these great golfers. Mentally, Tiger just had you, and he was so different to watch. And one of the highlights I had in doing what we do, Mike Hurley, who we all know, him and I decided a couple of years ago when they were playing during COVID, they were playing at the TPC in Norton. And in the first round, Michael and I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning or what have you, met at the TPC in Norton and had media passes, and we followed Tiger for 18 holes. And it was awesome. There were no fans allowed on the course because of COVID. So it was just his entourage, his agents and his caddy and people like that. And they were looking at us. Tiger, by the end, was looking at us like, who the heck are these guys? You know what I mean? We had our media badges and everything else, but we just followed him for every shot just to see a complete round with Tiger Woods, that up and close, personal. It was awesome, and you could he had something different. That was it. And it was just to watch him play week in and week out, to watch him do what he did in the Masters and all these other tournaments. It's like, and then to get into the car accident, it's just shame that it just ended basically every shot he had to keep on winning majors,
I could do a whole show on this. I've read every Tiger Woods book that's out there, other than the one that, and I'm going to read it, the one that James Patterson has recently written with, I forget if it was Armican or whatever. James Patterson's in on the book, whatever. But I just, look, what ended it for Tiger Woods, first of all, what a disappointment that he really didn't take advantage of his 30s at all. A lot of golfers have some of their best years in their 30s, and he didn't do it at all because I think his biggest, if you read into what was going on, I think his biggest downfall was he became infatuated with this Army military training that he got into. And he would run in the desert with ankle weights on, and he was doing combat training that was unnecessary, and that's what contributed to the breaking down of the body, and it was just so devastating. He had all this
obsession that they have.
It was an obsession. I mean? Yes, he became obsessed with this. I'm tough. I've got to be tough. I actually did a story on him. Probably around the time that you guys were following him. It was like the 2018 before that tournament went away. And because he had played when I was still affiliated with Rhode Island, he had played at the Wannamoisa Country Club at the Northeast Ham. So I went there and asked him about that, and I knew he'd be more than willing to talk, because what happened was he got sick. He had mono during it, and he battled through it, and he loves talking about, I was hurt, I battled through it, and he was telling me how the next tournament he played in, he was still battling it, and he won the tournament, but between rounds, he had to go nap and sleep and have fluids, and he just loves talking about how tough he was, and it's fine. This is the way I always compared him. He was Michael Jordan and Bo Jackson in golf terms. We've seen Michael Jordan, we've seen Bo Jackson. He dominated you like Jordan, but the physical ability and advantage he had in golf was that of Bo Jackson.
It was crazy.
In football, baseball. He was just
you were down
naturally
10 strokes by the time you started a golf tournament against Tiger.
He was stronger, bigger, could hit shots nobody could dream. Bo Jackson type. He'd hit it 240 yards out of a bunker and landed on the green.
Wrapped around a tree.
125 yards out of the thick rough with a pitching wedge. Wrapped around a tree, exactly. And Bo Jackson type of stuff, but had the killer, had the champion mindset, and the ability to win like Jordan.
In 99, I was at the PGA Championship in Illinois.
Yeah.
And we had gone out because the Ryder Cup was coming a month later. So I was working for BZ Radio at the time, and they wanted us to get a feel for what the Ryder Cup would be like. And the PGA officials all said, come to the PGA Championship. So myself and Steve Diossi went out for 4 days.
Wow.
And we started it by Wednesday. I did some things for that. We flew in, got there, did some things on the radio about the PGA Championship, and then I quickly drove to the Cubs game and asked the guy if I could just park. There was no parking spaces left. I said, I'm from Boston, and saw Randy Johnson strike out Sammy Sosa 4 times.
Who was he playing for, the Astros at the time? Diamondbacks?
Johnson was the Diamondback, and Sosa struck out 4 times against him.
Wow.
And then the tournament, it ended up, it was Sergio and Tiger in the 18th, and Tiger hit one of those shots you mentioned around a tree. And on Monday, Diossi, they have these lotteries for the media to get into play. We didn't know anything about it until we got there. He goes, let me see what I can do. And he went up, a box of cigars, flashed his Super Bowl ring a few times. And Steve and I went out and played 18.
God.
And we were standing right at the same place where Tiger hit that shot. You know what I mean? You could almost still see his divot and everything because it was the same tees, same hole, greens and everything else. And we were like, holy hell. Like, it literally, you would get into the rough and you would have to grip a 7-iron down as tight as possible and swing as hard as you could to get it to trickle back onto the fairway. And to see the control and what he was able to do was just insane.
Yeah, and it's just, you like I was saying about the clips that I see that come up on my feed. It's like, how have I never seen this one? How does he continue 25, 30, whatever years later, these shots that I've never even, and I tried to consume as much Tiger Woods content as one of the best sports documentaries I ever saw, and it's tragic that I can't find. I don't know where it is. It's narrated by Carson Daly. It was called Chasing 82 or something 82. Chasing 82, I think it was called. It aired just before the pandemic. It's right up there with The Last Dance. It's right up there with what we saw out of the Dallas Cowboys Netflix documentary recently. It was the way they put it together. I'd never seen a documentary formatted the way they formatted it. It was awesome. It's the best Tiger Woods documentary I've ever seen. And if you can find it, somebody tweet me and let me know where I can watch it because it is
I'll
awesome.
watch it too.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. They go through every one of his wins. Every one of his wins through, until 82. I forget if it was he hadn't won the next Masters yet. I don't remember. But it was just, they talk about every aspect of his golfing life. The clips that you've never seen from the Golf Channel back in the late 90s, the commercials he was in, everything he did. By the way, do you know how many Ryder Cups Tiger Woods has won in his career, in his illustrious career? Do you know the answer to that?
I want to say is it 0?
1.
Yeah.
Do you know where?
Mm-mm.
The Country Club. That is one of the most shocking stats in sports for me. Guy that good, been around that long, 1 Ryder Cup. I mean, they have it every 2 years. Every 2 years.
Right. You think Justin Leonard, too, when you think of that team and those ugly shirts that they wore
the
on
ugly
Sunday.
shirts. He did. I mean, he wasn't.
But he wasn't a dominating guy.
He did win
team yet, right?
the Sunday singles match. He did win, so he got his point in that match. Had a one dramatic chip in. I remember during the round where it. But I just can't.
But golf is such an individualistic sport, and to play a team is different, right? To be on a team,
I get it.
In golf is different because I used to say to my daughter all the time, and my son is like the only places you can really think, right, as an athlete and get in your head is a golf course if you're a golfer, tennis to some extent too, but in the batter's box. Right? And that's the only place where mentally it's just everything can go through your head, good, bad, everything else. You have time, right? And in golf, you have that time. And it's such an individually focused sport that I think when you try to play on a team, it's just different for some guys.
Anything with the swing.
Yeah, and it's why some golfers are incredible on the Ryder Cup, and then they're not very good individually. It's just one of those weird things mentally. And Tiger just never seemed to fit into the Ryder Cup format.
But that is so shocking.
That's his only chink in the armor. You know what I mean?
The only Ryder Cup he ever won.
Yeah.
They do it every 2 years. If it was every 4 years, it's okay. They go back and forth to Europe. It's hard to win in Europe every 4 years. Every 2 years, he's been around for 26 years. He was playing. You could play Ryder Cups into your 40s. It's the only one he's ever won.
Right.
I can't believe it.
But to me now, the other cool part of that is we tend to look back on athletes' careers, right? I think you're going to say the same type of things when you're talking about Tom Brady in his 20 years here, right? When you're all said that throw he made, that play that he made, and again, how much of that is mental too, right? And you look at how Brady, he could have been happy with 3 Super Bowls and done, right? That basically would say, excuse me, that would have been a great career. Joe Montana, everybody else,
sure.
And then he reinvented himself, and that was kind of like the shame with Tiger. Because if physically he was capable of it, he would have kept reinventing himself and continued to go on win more and more and more.
Yeah.
Except for the injuries and stuff
the
like
women.
that.
The women thing didn't help. Obviously, the scandal probably took him out of his game a little bit. He had to, because when he came back from that, he was not. I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't as effective or whatever. He just wasn't as much of the killer. He was trying to be friends with everybody. He was trying to show a side of him that was more cordial and polite and try to repair his image and all those things. And I don't know if that affected his golf or his ability to close or whatever. But that was a big shift in his mentality.
Right. It's hard to have that killer instinct, that fire, that competitive fire in you.
Yeah.
And that's something I want to talk about later on with Mike Vrabel. That we found out that, if you see the Christian Barmore tweet yesterday, just talking about that's my coach. That's kind of something that's unique that we're going to see coming up here in the playoffs and going forward in the Vrabel era too. But back to Tiger, those kind of things that, all this fuel that they just keep getting inside mentally, and then they have those things that happen and it throws them off, right? And it's just like, and then they get burnt out. Michael Jordan went and played baseball because he was just like tired, but to have that ability mentally is just crazy to continue to sustain. And that's what Brady did. For 20 years, he basically sustained that mental attitude, and it was just—it's awesome. And to get to watch those people, Mark, that's the cool stuff. I remember listening. I'm dating myself here, but I remember listening to Ali fight on the radio. You know what I mean? Round by round blows against Frazier and Foreman and things like that. It's just like, and Ali had that. Yeah, that special factor, and there's very few of them. When you watch them, you're just like, man, it's just awesome to watch.
I still think the between the years aspect of an athlete is the most important thing.
Yeah.
You need a certain level of ability and physical gifts to play a sport and to play it at a high level. But I mean, if you're trash between the years, if you're mentally soft, weak, can't handle adversity, don't have the work ethic, don't have the proper perspective, you'll get taken out. You'll get taken down and out. And it is fascinating to be around those types of people and to watch them and to study them. And we've been lucky here, obviously, in Boston. We've seen so many guys. I was saying, who Drake May kind of reminds me of? This is kind of a funny comparison. We haven't talked about this. He kind of reminds me of Manny Ramirez. All of the good mental qualities of Manny Ramirez. The good ones. Because I thought, obviously Manny being Manny, and he was a flake kind of and all these things, and we laughed about it, and it was fun. But I also thought that Manny had an elite ability to not give a rip. If he got out, if he had a bad game, just kind of let it go, and he'd be back, and he'd be just as dangerous on the next at bat to hammer one. I don't think
remember in Cleveland how that when he said, if we don't win, so what?
I just don't think he ever really got in his head.
Yeah.
He was really good at not getting in his own head, forgetting about any mistakes he had, forgetting about bad at bats or whatever. If you slump, he didn't care. He just went up there and ripped. And I feel like Drake May has a lot of that. Not the flaky part or the unpredictable part of Manny. But the I don't care, made a mistake, I'm going to come right back. I'm going to keep coming. Next at bat, I'm going to just rip one. I'm going to be Manny Ramirez, and I'm just as capable of ripping one and not be in my head. And, I'm going to be in this slump, and I'm not going to be able to get out of it. Maybe part of it. I got exactly with him mentally, but I think the cool thing with Drake is we're finding out, right? This is the beginning of his journey, right? We're finding out what he has, and it's pretty cool. I go back to the Buffalo game when he, had that series,
And then, like he said, it was kind of the elephant in the room. We go back to what he was able to do against Baltimore. So you found out what you have in Drake May. And as we continue to go here and progress, we're going to continue to find out what he has, right?
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. That's like watching Patrick Mahomes. Nobody knew what he had, right? I don't even know if Kansas City knew what they had exactly to the entire portion of him. But then you just find out. And that's, you talk about the mental part of the game. I think there's so many athletes because it's so hard to get to these places.
Yeah.
But what separates them is to go from above average to superior.
Right.
Right? That different, what is it that they have in them? Like, I remember doing features with Ortiz, and I loved to do them.
He loved you.
One of them we walked into, we stood at a batter's box, and I said, David, when you step into this batter's box, what changes? What gives you the ability in a clutch situation to get up there and just not care about striking out or whatever and coming through time and time again? And his ability was relying on preparation, and we've heard Brady say that before, right? And the other part of it was everything slowed down. When he got into a batter's box, I had a game plan, and I was comfortable, and I couldn't hear the crowd, and I just focused in on what the pitcher was doing against me, found my pitch, and drove it. Mm-hmm. And it was just fascinating. And he didn't really like talking about it because he's like, half the time he goes, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's something. But the one time we went in there, it was like, this is awesome just to listen to him and what slows down. And Jordan was probably the same way, right?
I'm sure he was. There's just so many fascinating aspects to the mind in that regard mentally. And then you think about some of the greats and which parts of it they were able to tap into. Obviously, the guys like Brady had it all. I mean, first of all, between the years, we're not talking about physical ability and running and throwing and hitting and all that. I'm talking about mentally. Do you have the mindset necessary to succeed? Meaning, are you an adult? Do you have your priorities in order? Are you Dennis Rodman? He was a great player as a role guy, but in terms, if he was trying to lead some type of team, or he just was too all over the place. So do you have your priorities in order? Do you have the ability to understand the game intellectually, whether that's game plans, reading a defense, the pitcher, what the pitcher's trying to do to you, IQ, whatever, baseball, football IQ. There's that part of it mentally. There's the clutch factor. Where does your mind go in clutch moments at the end of the game when you have to have it? Do you melt? Do you pee down your leg? Are you a puddle?
Well, and remember that first Super Bowl, right? Because John Madden's saying they shouldn't go to overtime. Just go to overtime. And we watch Brady just drive them down the field and go to a game-winning field goal. That was the beginning of finding out this is what you have in this kid. Because remember, it was the defense, it was Belichick. We didn't really know about Brady. And that was like the difference. And like you said, I think with Tiger, the combination of Bo Jackson, because that's what Tiger had. He was gifted physically, more so than any others, especially playing at that time in his generation. Now they've all caught up to him as far as like the physical part because of what they're doing. But back then, nobody was close to him physically. And then what separates them to even more greatness? It's that mental aspect of the game, and you can't teach that to anybody. That's what makes it special, unique. The greatest athletes we've ever seen participate in any sport.
And I think that was his downfall, the mental side of the priorities part of it, not the clutch, not the work ethic necessarily, but priorities got in his way. Unlike Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus never got, and maybe it was because his wife kept him in line. I don't know. I've read, his wife used to humble him. Barbara Nicklaus. Yeah, so shut up and get the milk. I don't care that you just won the Masters. Make sure you bring home the groceries. He kept himself focused. He never got distracted with army training or chasing the women or whatever it was. And that's what he might not have been as electric or physically gifted as Tiger, but he kept himself focused, and that's why he got to 18 and Tiger got to 15.
Yeah. And I think Nicklaus was probably the one that you wanted to see as like you wanted your son, or your daughter to marry, right? Because he had that wholesome like sportsmanship, right? We've heard it, gentleman, taking the hat off, shaking the hands and everything else, or that kind of thing. Yet he had that killer instincts where other guys have their flaws because of trying to find that greatness. And,
he was a killer.
Happens,
and I don't know. I didn't watch him, but I like the things I've read and seen. He was. I mean, I remember the piece where they were talking about his son was on the bag. I think it was the '86 Masters. I think.
Yeah,
and
Gary.
He hit It was a par 3. He hit a shot with like a 5-iron, and he bent down to pick up the tee, and he heard behind him his son said, "Be right." And he just kind of looked up at him, and he said, "It is." And it landed like 3 feet from the hole. He knew it.
Did you see the video that circulated this year around the Masters of him playing in a, like one of those, par 3 tournaments, Nicholas, and he's with Johnny Miller or something, and Johnny.
Oh, the putt.
And he says, "Yeah,
I know.
I
thought it was AI.
I know.
Are you serious?
I know, right? And it's just like he said, I knew. Like that basically, and again, he just goes up there, hits it, and that's kind of like that separate factor.
You need to have that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That level of confidence, cockiness, even in the right way, in the right at the right times. But yeah, it's fascinating. We're going to find out more about Drake May. That's what we need to know. He hasn't dealt with a whole heck of a lot of adversity. Maybe last year, you could classify as that. I think we still need to see him in those clutch moments more.
Oh yeah, this
great
is like
in
the very
Baltimore.
beginning.
Yeah, this is the beginning.
This is awesome.
We got to see where it goes. But that's what Brady had. Brady had all of it. He was great. His priorities were in order. He understood where mentally he needed to be to lead a team. His priorities in terms of the work ethic and practice, perfect attitude mentally to approach practice. He wasn't lazy. Right. He was able to do all that. Late in games, never shied away from the moment, always rose to the occasion. Mentally, as tough as they come. Like that, he had it all mentally. That's what I'm trying to say. And you got to just see how physically, we know he's got it all. Mentally, let's see where it all goes.
Yeah,
and that's where we're at.
Which is really cool to watch unfold,
But yeah, maybe he'll play on the champion. I don't know. But it's crazy that 50 years old Tiger Woods.
But the Champions Tour does nothing for me when it comes to Tiger. You know what I mean? And I say that with all due respect to the Champions Tour because I love those guys.
You went up to the didn't you go up to Salem a few years ago?
The Senior Open and everything else too. And I've been friends with Billy Andrade and Brad Faxon for years, as everybody has seen like in New England.
Yeah.
But it's just those kind of guys, Dana Quigley. Yeah. But no, it's just like Tiger's just. I want to see him compete in majors. I don't want to see. It's just like even the senior majors. No, I want to see him in the Masters, and I want to see him at that level. And I don't think we'll ever see it again.
I mean, it's 25 years later. Just real quick, two things. We haven't seen anything. Scotty Scheffler, if you want to consider him close, okay, fine. And the other thing that's always shocked me. You really don't see that many more African Americans playing golf 25 years later, which I've always been surprised. You thought it would have gotten different communities into the game a little bit more, whatever. And I know access for golf is hard for everyone. I mean, it takes time. You have to go to the club and all these different things. But I just wish I appreciated Tiger more back then. I wasn't in golf back then. That's good.
I made sure that I watched every Sunday and read. You know what I mean? It was nothing more fun for me than watching Tiger play on Sunday. And and it was just like every time I had a chance to watch him, watched him.
I mean, the putt in the 08 Open where he had to make it, he makes it. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Superhero stuff.
And it's like we talk about the difference in the mental part of the game. Brady, right? People look back on those Super Bowls. The 6 they won here, but the 2 he had them 3, and it had him in position to win that game.
All the games, pretty much.
If the defense had made a play, that they would have won. Like the Philadelphia one in Minnesota. Go back and look at that.
Yeah.
Like Brady threw it. Yeah. He was relentless.
Without Gronk.
Yes. So.
Okay. Speaking of the quarterback play, we've got to talk about, we're going to go into what happened last night because there were some things that were significant from a Patriots perspective and I think could have and I need to take an L, too. So we're going to do all of that. This is Toucher and Hardy, Mark Dondero, Dan Roach, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on The Sports Hub.
Cars for Kids, the easiest way.
last night was interesting. The Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, coming into the night 11-4, played the Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football. And if Matthew Stafford is the MVP, nobody told him because he had several first-half interceptions, led to a 21-0 lead for the Falcons, capped off by this Bijan Robinson touchdown.
Here's Robinson, right side. Nice cutback. He's gone. Can anybody catch him?
Not tonight.
McCreary chasing. Won't get there. Touchdown, Atlanta. 93 yards.
If you had Bijan Robinson last night, you won your champion. You were in the championship round. Unless you were playing against Derrick Henry, you won your fantasy football championship last night. 195 yards rushing and a touchdown, and then he had additional 34 yards and a touchdown receiving. So you done pretty well.
That was a big one for Robinson, who's one of the best running backs in the league. The Falcons, they did choke away the lead for a little bit there. The Rams, by the way, one of their touchdowns was not offensive. It was on a blocked field goal where they were able to take it back. The Falcons, they went almost the entire second half without scoring. The Rams managed to tie the game on this Puka Nacua touchdown.
Rams are back in the red zone. They're 0 for 2 in the red zone trying to score touchdowns. How about Nacua? He says, not anymore. Touchdown, Rams.
Get the ball out to Puka Nacua. There's Smith, Parkinson, the double team there, and they just ride him all the way up into Henderson. And you see that movement, and so Nacua just gets in behind it and then runs through Henderson for the touchdown.
When Nakua's healthy, he's insanely
He might
good.
be the best receiver in the league.
Oh my gosh, the catch he made with 10 seconds left to go, which was not a catch. It was ruled a no catch. But he caught it basically with one hand.
Yeah.
For like 40 yards away.
How about the catch he made a couple weeks ago where he over his whatever that was over?
Even
I've never seen a catch like
when
that.
he was here. It's just he was like him and Drake London were the two performances that I remember. You know, in Foxborough this season of like, good Lord, like the talent that he has.
Correct.
Is insane.
The Rams, by the way, 5-4 on the road this season. When you think about the Patriots, 8-0.
They're going on the road.
Different schedule. I get a different division. The division's excellent.
And remember, like, the season is such a long season.
Yeah.
That at what point were we saying the Rams are the best team in football? Right? How many times did we hear that? Like week 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
You don't want to play them. They're
the most
Stafford's
complete
the MVP.
team.
Yes. And look at they're never going to lose down the stretch. They haven't looked the same.
No.
So, to me, and now we look at I look at the teams that are going to the postseason. Everybody pretty much in my mind is except Carolina. Whoever comes out of that division has a chance.
Yeah.
Right? They really do. It's like it's crazy what you look at with the brackets.
Down 3 with 9 seconds to go, the Rams had a chance to march down the field and tie the game if only this Puka Nacua catch that we just referenced counted.
They got to go to the sideline now. It's Nacua. He grabbed it. Was it a catch? Well, I mean, what am I seeing that they don't? Because that looks like a catch.
I think this is a better look at it.
That's incredible. That's a one-handed, left-handed
catch. Both feet were in bounds. That's a catch.
He definitely gets both feet down as long as he maintained control of that ball through contact with the ground. That's a catch.
That's a catch. That's amazing.
That's going to give the Rams a chance. Does the ball come out there?
Well, it came loose there at the end.
And that shot changes everything. On that shot, you can see the ball did come loose as he's going to the ground. This is an incomplete pass.
Okay. So.
And it was true, though. When you watch it, if you go back and even look at it online or what have you, there were 4 angles that made it look like a catch. And there's one last angle, whereas he's going down. It looks like he's got it in one hand the whole time. Mm-hmm. And the ball kind of comes up a little bit and then goes back into his hand. And it's just like he didn't have full control of it, even though his 2 toes were in and everything else. So,
insane talent. And then later on that drive, Stafford had it looked like it could have been a touchdown, and he overthrew. I forget who it was. I don't remember who the receiver out there was, but it was a clear overthrow on a deep corner route that it was just Stafford missed him. Then later there was another ball that he threw to Atwell that could have been a pass interference. They didn't call it. So Stafford was not on his game last night. And as a result, look, I said yesterday, Dan, if they lost either of these games, Drake May has to be the MVP. Because you get to 5 losses, that's way different, I feel like, than 3. You're talking about a guy that has maybe the best receiver in football, maybe the best offensive head coach in football, with much better protection, all of the above. He's got another receiver that's going to the Hall of Fame in Devontae Adams, who's been out. This is a guy that's got more support, 2 more losses. I understand the schedule, the division's better, but I'm sorry. Drake May, now you add the 3 picks on top of it. He threw for 2 touchdowns, fine. 3 picks, 2 pick sixes, and you lose? And you're going to be, a 5 or 6 seed? That's not good enough. And this MVP is now, it should go to Drake May. It should go to Drake May. I don't know if it will. It should.
I think there's been a ton of MVP talk, right? And after a while, it's like, okay, and I know that's kind of what kind of drives things to different mediums and what have you. But to me, I think it's pretty simple. If you ask me, and I think we've watched them the whole year, but if you watch the National Football League and watch as you could kind of do like a horse race as they go up, back, forth, in, out, and everything else. Josh Allen is maybe the best quarterback left, right? Just because of his ability, no matter when, situation.
Experience.
We see it. He just, he came up short a little bit. He was lame against the Eagles, though.
Yeah.
He was injured. But there's no question in my mind. You just take it from a neutral standpoint. Watch and show somebody the season. Drake May's the MVP. Right? It's last night was another chance for Stafford to show that he was, on the biggest stage with the ability to take his team to a victory. He had the 3 interceptions. He's a great player. You can never count him out in a game. Same thing with Allen. But the guy who's had the best season and had a situation where he had a drive where he lost. They had the opportunity, took it upon himself, and said, we're going to come back and do this again. And the next week, basically put himself into a position to give his team a chance at that number 1 seed and wrap up the AFC East by doing it against Baltimore. So he checked off every single box. And I don't care if Stafford has 40 touchdowns and May has 30. The body of work, the wins, the way that they've done what they've done this season, the leadership, everything says it's to me it's simple. Drake May's your MVP. There's no question about it right now.
2 things. First of all, we saw it last year where Lamar Jackson technically had better statistical numbers than Josh Allen, but Josh Allen got the award. And I think that they evaluated that correctly where they looked and said, who's more valuable? And even the numbers were comparable, but Allen was clearly more valuable to the Bills than Jackson was to the Ravens, who had Derrick Henry, who had Zay Flowers, who had Isaiah Likely, who had Mark Andrews, who had great offensive line, some good defensive pieces. He was just more valuable. And that's the most valuable player. Valuable. So this is sort of applicable this year, that same approach, because Drake, I think we had a caller bring this up yesterday. I think it was yesterday.
With Alex?
Yeah, with Alex, where they were saying
AB.
What was that?
AB,
my boy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had a nickname. It's,
nice.
Rochi was just kind of, it's always there, so that's an easy one.
Yeah. I think Antonio Brown, though, and I think...
Yeah, that's what Ryan didn't like, AB.
Yeah, I thought that, too. It's crazy.
I don't want to do that to him.
He didn't take his shirt off and leave during the middle of the show.
Or act in Boxborough. Yeah. That's the other thing I think of.
But I just feel like if you put Matt Stafford on the Patriots, they don't go 13-3. I just don't think they do with the protection, the offensive line, some of the weapons. I don't think they go 13-3, even with that schedule. If you put Josh Allen on the Patriots, they probably still go 13-3. If you put Drake May on the Rams, they're probably better than 11-5, maybe with that roster with McVay, the protection. So it's now clear to me, even though I will take the L, because I thought after Buffalo, Drake May lost his chance at the MVP. I was wrong. Also last night, the Bruins were in Calgary. Bees go up late in the first period on this Andrew Peeke goal.
Back to the blue line. Here's Laura over to the far circle. Peeke moving right to the side of the net, trying to tuck it in, and scores! Andrew Peeke just walked it right to the side of the net and scores to give the Bruins a 1-0 lead.
Unfortunately, though, the game would end up in overtime. The Bruins had opportunities to end the game, but they walk away with just the 1 point.
From center ice, left side, Sharon Govich pulls up along the far wall. Uyghur center of the blue line. Back to Sharon Govich, top of the left circle. A shot, save made, rebound, score! Connor Zary on the rebound gets the overtime game winner, the power play goal for the Flames as they take it 2-1.
So the Bruins fall, and now, they've kind of, sputtered would be putting it mildly. They've hit a tough stretch here, Roach.
Yeah, and it's going to be, again, Cam Neely said it right before the opener. They're going to have to win these types of games, the 2-1s and what have you. There was, one point where Geekie was scoring a goal a game,
right.
2 goals a game, where everything seemed like they were going to be, here they go on their way. Now they're just trying to find themselves and find that level, and now we'll see where they're at as they continue to go here through the next couple of months. Do they do something at the trade deadline? Are they worthy of that? Are they not? But I think it's just kind of, water finds its level. I think that they found their level as far as where they're at. There's going to be a battle every single night. They played hard. They gave you everything they had, but they just couldn't put the puck in the net. And last night was a game of bounces. If you look at the 3 goals, there really wasn't anything like that's the best goal ever. The deflections off bodies and what have you. And then Zadorov on a rebound of a Zaka breakaway had to hit a defender and just hit the right shoulder of Wolf, the goaltender, and trickle up over the top bar, and they could have had a goal to win the game in that situation. So I think there's not a lot of mistakes as far as being able to make mistakes for this Bruins team and overcome them and not have luck go your way. They had no puck luck last night. Calgary did. I think Calgary's like 9-1-2 in its last 12 home games or what have you. So it was kind of one of those nights for the Bruins that I thought looked like they played hard, but.
Jay's in New Hampshire. Good morning, Jay.
I just want to say I love Drake May, but enough with this MVP crap. Wake me up when you've beaten one team that isn't in your division that's above 500. You've played a crap schedule. You've played the easiest teams in the NFL. You are the Notre Dame of the NFL teams.
Is that Drake's fault?
You're the team with a pansy schedule.
Is that Drake's fault?
What? No, he performed against crap.
Right.
But that doesn't make you an MVP.
Why not?
That does not make you an MVP. Josh Allen with.
Right. If you had your way, Josh Allen would be the MVP. Right? Is that what you would say?
The MVP in the Buffalo game. That was the end of the MVP. You had your chance to solidify yourself, and you got pounced.
Okay, can you not, at the age of 23 in your second year, take that one game in that situation, and the next opportunity you have against a good team that's qualified, it's trying to make the playoffs, have that same opportunity come up and you succeed? Is that not learning from what you were able to do or not do and come back and be better? Is that not the sign of an MVP type of player? Is that not allowed?
You haven't. You came back and you beat a crap team, and then you lost to another crap team.
Yeah, see, Jay, just like you have that in your head.
Jay, guess what? Josh Allen hasn't beaten a team above 500 outside of his division either. Okay, so I don't want to hear that.
Not true.
Who did he beat? Who?
Go look at the
Baltimore, New York, Miami, New Orleans, Carolina, Kansas City. They're all below 500 or 500.
Buffalo. Oh my God! You guys are the biggest homers. Look at the schedule.
These are.
Look at the data.
They're facts.
Oh my God! Drake is the head greatest. Drake's going to be phenomenal, but he's not.
The tagline says Josh Allen MVP.
Hold on a second, then. Who's your MVP then?
Josh Allen. He said Josh Allen is the MVP. That's what They have beat the Bills have beaten Baltimore 500. The Jets, Miami, New Orleans, below 500. Carolina, 500. The Chiefs, below 500. The Bucks, 500. Pittsburgh, that was their one. That was the one win they have. Are they even above 500?
No, they're 9-7, right?
Okay, so they're 9, and that's the one win. Cincinnati, New England in the division, in Cleveland. So they've beaten the Steelers.
They lost to the
9-7.
Eagles, lost
Good.
to the Texans, lost to the Dolphins, lost to the Falcons, lost to the Patriots.
Yeah, so I don't want to hear it. Same thing. Exact same thing. And he's had some bad losses in there. Some inexplicable. At Miami, 13 points. That was a choke. They lost. It was an inexplicable loss what they did in Atlanta, coming off of the loss to the Patriots. That wasn't good. So I don't want to hear it. 12 points at home. I know there was weather. 12 points at home to the Eagles. Nope. He's out. So, and Stafford's been good, but I mean, I just don't think he's been Drake May good. And he's got more resources. All right, we got to go to break. 617-779-0985. Toucher and Hardy, Mark Dondero, Dan Roach, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Last night in the NFL, the Los Angeles Rams fell in Atlanta to the now 7-9 Falcons by the count of 27-24. Matthew Stafford, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 2 pick sixes. And as a result, Drake May is now the betting favorite on DraftKings to win the NFL MVP award at minus 350. Stafford's dropped to second. That's the good news for the Patriots. The bad news is that the Chargers and their head coach Jim Harbaugh announced on Monday that quarterback Justin Herbert will not play in their Week 18 game at Denver, which means the likelihood of a Broncos loss and New England securing the number 1 seed in the AFC took a massive hit. Patriots, meanwhile, are off today, and they'll be back on the practice field on Wednesday ahead of their matchup with the Dolphins in Foxborough on Sunday. Nikola Jokic, who leads the NBA in assists and rebounds, went down last night during Denver's game with the Heat with what the Nuggets are calling a knee injury. He'll get an MRI today to confirm the severity of the injury. Celtics will be back on the floor in Utah tonight, 9 p.m. tip. You can hear that game right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. John Wallach, Cedric Maxwell will be on the call. Bruins fell to the Flames last night, 2-1 in overtime. Andrew Peeke had the goal for Boston. And at the World Juniors, James Hagan scored twice for the Americans as Team USA came back to beat Slovakia 6-5 and remain undefeated. Next up for Hagens, the Bruins prospect and BC star in the United States, will be a date with Sweden on New Year's Eve. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by IBEW 103 and Nika Electrical Contractors. IBEW 103 celebrating 125 years of powering Greater Boston. To find a qualified contractor for your next electrical, telecom, or security project today, visit thepowerprofessionals.org. Again, thepowerprofessionals.org. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Next update around 30 minutes.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Thinking about a new roof for your home or business? Now's the season to do it. During
rebut that guy that thinks Josh Allen should win the MVP. I mean, the third guy in line is Trevor Lawrence at plus 18,000. So I don't think Josh Allen's going to win the MVP. Not to mention the fact that if you look at what Drake May has done with the receiving core he has, okay, compared to the receiving core that Stafford has, all the more I think May should get it. But to my Bruins point, when you start losing to teams like Calgary, okay, I think waiting for the trade deadline, guys, I think that's going to be too late the way this team is playing right now. I think they need to make some moves now, because if they don't, it's going to be too late. This ship is sinking, and it's sinking quick.
Yeah. I don't disagree
well, you
with
said
that.
Calgary was hot. I mean,
they need goal scorers.
Yeah.
They need, there's a lot they need. So,
but real quick though, let's be honest.
No,
this was a team. They were playing above their head for a little bit. Morgan Geeky, as much as I've appreciated the effort and everything, did I think that was going to be sustainable? Is he some star, some goal scoring savant that's going to last for years and years in the NHL? I'm sure he'll be a good player. I just felt like it wasn't as sustainable as I would have liked, and they're in a rough stretch right now. So,
and they kind of knew that going in.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be a defensive. They would have to win games 2-1. Last night they lost 2-1. Let's take another quick one.
Can I say something real quick here, Mark? If you go look at the schedule that the Rams have played, much to a caller we had earlier, the playoff teams that he's beaten, Stafford, is Houston, right? And that was the first game of the year, 14-9.
Yeah.
And then they lost to Philadelphia. They lost to San Francisco. They beat Baltimore early, 17-3. So there's 2 wins. Then, as far as playoff teams are concerned, they beat Jacksonville, right? So they're going in. They beat San Francisco. So he has more quality wins as a team. But again, the staff, the core around him,
right,
and the players around him.
Yeah, that's fine. I just don't want to hear about Josh Allen. Okay, he's got less touchdowns than last year, more interceptions than last year. He's already got 10 interceptions, had 6 all of last year. How many? He had the huge fumble the other day. They aren't going to win the division. The Patriots are going to win the division. They won the division. I don't know what we're talking about with Josh Allen.
And it's not to say that you wouldn't take Josh Allen as a quarterback.
Of course not.
For his whole career.
He could be. He's better than Drake May, probably.
But I just think that this 1 year, that's what it's based on, regular season. It's not based on postseason.
Right.
This 1 year, I think that Drake May is now clear that he should be the MVP.
Yeah, and they split in the regular season, and of course Allen had the nice second half. They came back. But May had
look what Drake did in the first one, that throw to Diggs.
Right.
Everyone thinks that, how difference maker.
So I just don't want to hear it, and it's just not in the cards this year. Allen is not the MVP. He shouldn't even be in the discussion. Not after the loss the other day and what happened there.
And he's not, according to the bettors, right? It's a 2-horse race at this point. Now, Ryan was just saying that during the break, is that it's Stafford and it's May.
It swung. I mean, Stafford really, really hurt his chances with that performance last night. On FanDuel, I had Drake May plus 300 right now. He's minus 475 this morning. That's all because of what Matt Stafford did.
So
Drake May might have won the MVP while he was asleep last night.
It's great. Eating Bakemas leftovers. What'd you say?
It's a great life.
Yeah, it is. All right. 617-779-0985. Mark, Dan, Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Shop produce at Whole Foods.
269 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions, including 2 pick sixes. And as a result, Drake May is now the betting favorite on DraftKings to win the NFL MVP award. Stafford has dropped to second. That's the good news for the Pats. The bad news is that the Chargers and their head coach Jim Harbaugh announced on Monday that quarterback Justin Herbert will not play in their Week 18 game at Denver, which means the likelihood of a Broncos loss and New England securing the number 1 seed in the AFC took a massive hit. Patriots, meanwhile, will be off today and back on the practice field on Wednesday ahead of their matchup with the Dolphins on Sunday in Foxborough. Nikola Jokic, who leads the NBA in assists and rebounds, went down last night during Denver's game with the Heat with what the Nuggets are calling a knee injury. He'll get an MRI today to confirm the severity of the injury. Celtics back on the floor tonight in Utah, 9 p.m. tip. You can hear the game right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. John Wallach, Cedric Maxwell on the call. Bruins fell to the Flames last night, 2-1 in overtime. Andrew Peeke had the tally for Boston. And at the World Juniors, James Hagens, Bruins prospect BC star, scored twice for the Americans as Team USA came back to beat Slovakia 6-5 and remain undefeated. Next up for the United States will be a date with Sweden on New Year's Eve. Finally, according to sources, Northwestern is set to hire former Raiders OC Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180. Happy holidays from Paige and the entire Awaken 180 team, wishing you a season full of joy, good health, and happiness in the new year. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Next update around 30 minutes.
New England plays here.
Down the right side, there's a separation. Touchdown pass. Yes. Perfect dime from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
And now, back to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Talk about Drake. I just heard some MVP chants. What do you say about him? Did you know what you had in this quarterback when you came here?
No, I did not. You know what I'm saying? He surprised all of us. I knew he was going to be good, but I didn't know he was going to be this good. I'm just super proud of him. He approached this game the right way, man, and I look forward to seeing more of him.
If you had an MVP vote?
Drake May.
And Vegas agrees. As of right now, at least, that was Stephon Diggs after the game in New York against the Jets.
Would have been great if Diggs said Matthew Stafford and walked away.
That would have been funny. Anyway, Drake May, after 3 interceptions from Stafford, 2 pick sixes, is now the favorite. Thanks in part to what Stephon Diggs has done this year. Diggs has been huge for May and the Patriots, and we'll see if that continues. And Dalton is in the van. Hey, Dalton.
Hey, I was just curious. So Stafford has Puka, who's probably top 3, maybe number 1. And then Adams, who's probably a top 20. Where do you rank Diggs in the league? Because he's probably our best receiver. So just curious on that. In terms of, May doing the season he's doing with our best receiver being Diggs. Just curious where you rank him in the league.
Sure. Not top 10.
Definitely not, no.
I don't have him in the top
30,
10.
maybe? In top 20. I'd put him at top 20. You know, he's about to become a 1,000-yard receiver, and there'll be 15 of those. Maybe a couple more. Justin Jefferson, Devontae Smith are both high in that category, but I'd put him in the top 20, top 25 as far as wide receivers are concerned, especially this season for what he's doing this season at his age, ability, coming back from surgery. He's been a find for this Patriots team.
Yeah, I think a big part, of Diggs' contributions to this team has been mentality, leadership, stewardship.
From day one.
You're right.
There were question marks about him coming in, right? And then he came in June in the minicamp and looked like he was ready to go, which was to the shock of everybody because he had just had surgery that previous, December? And he came in looking like a guy who was on a mission. Mm-hmm. And I think, listening to him the other day talking about he just wants wins when he was asked about the 30 yards that he needs to get to 1,000. I'm sure they'll give it to him and they'll get it to him. But talk about a guy who's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
He's bought into Mike Vrabel. We had that incident on the boat, what have you. Everyone was like, "Oh no, here we go."
Yeah, the boat.
Can Vrabel get to him? Got to get him up here.
Who amongst us hasn't been surrounded by scantily clad women while handing out pink powdery substance?
Yes.
On a boat.
Pop rocks is what mine would be if I had that pink substance. It would be pop rocks. From there, but I think what you look at is that he's an example of what's happened this year.
Yeah.
As far as this team is concerned. And this season, he's become a top 20 type, top 15 wide receiver in the NFL because of it.
He's got 5 games over 100 yards. I was thinking coming into the year, Kendrick Bourne in 2021, I would have been happy with that. He's exceeded that. He doesn't quite have the touchdowns yet. We'll see what happens in Week 18. But 970 yards, I think Bourne had 800 yards. But the biggest thing, like I said, leadership, mentality, and how about his performance in the biggest games? Buffalo on the road, Baltimore on the road. Those are his 2 biggest games. 138 yards at Baltimore, 146 yards at Buffalo. Probably your 2 biggest games of the year on the road.
And in those games, what you want out of a number 1 wide receiver is get him involved early.
Yeah.
If they can get him involved early, which they didn't do in the previous week prior to Baltimore, then I think that you have a guy that wants the ball, get him the ball, and performs like that guy. And then his leadership has been off the charts. Like if you watch some of the behind-the-scenes stuff with the Patriots that they put out when he's mic'd up, it's phenomenal. And watching him in the binoculars, I go back to what I do at games as I'm sitting in the press box. He'll make a play. The offense will have a good series. He'll get a touchdown. He'll walk down to the defense, and not just kind of slap hands or whatever. He's talking to them. All right, I did my part. We did our part. Now you guys go do your part. And it's been and everybody else has bought into it too. It's not phony. It's not the defense saying, "Yeah, get out of here. You're a wide receiver."
Right.
I think he's got that respect now in that locker room, and it's all part of the growing process. So he certainly has had that type of season, and it's been fun to watch.
Benny is in the truck. Hey, Benny.
Hey, good morning, guys. I hope you guys have a happy New Year. 2 factors to this is Drake May's willingness to learn and adapt to the situations. Factor in the 2 most recent losses. They came back, same situations, and actually dominated and overcame that shortfall. And how would Drake May be under Bill Belichick? I'll listen. Thank you, guys.
I think he'd be fine under Bill Belichick. I think it would be
if he had Josh McDaniels.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I think if he had Josh McDaniels, that's a good point.
That's the big part.
He would be fine. I see. Yes. Josh
would he
McDaniels.
be as great?
No.
Maybe not.
Well,
I don't think Bill really had a big thing for like what quarterback play has turned into in the modern era of football. A lot of athletes that are making plays with their feet. I don't think that he would have been crazy about like Drake May out there improving after a couple seconds and maybe starting to run. I just don't think that's ever really been like what he's been about. He loses control at that point. It's out of his hands.
It's the big question is what we've been thinking about for a lot. We can talk to Andrew Callahan's coming up at 8:00. We're going to talk to Mike Cadlick after. Was it 9:20?
9:20. Yeah.
Okay, so we have that to look forward to. We can talk about that with them. But we've been wondering, who's most responsible for this turnaround? Was it inevitable that Drake May was going to have this type of rise? Was it Josh McDaniels who came in and turned everything around? Was it Mike Vrabel who was the real catalyst behind what May has been able to achieve this year?
I think it's everybody, but deep down it's Drake May.
Right.
Right? That's the biggest factor.
Which makes me
think
that
guy to step in now. Would he take to, but he's welcomed criticism. He wants to be that leader. He's asked Vrabel how to be a better leader. I don't know. Behind the scenes, it would have been curious to see the relationship between Bill and Drake May. You've heard of the Brady chats with Belichick and everything else. But I think Ryan makes a decent point of, would he have told him to knock it off, some of those things that he's doing? I don't know, because he talked about him coming out of the draft. There were concerns for him, and I think Vrabel has certainly given him that confidence, and both behind the scenes and publicly, as far as running the team, not afraid to make mistakes, go out and do what you do. So,
which version of Bill Belichick? That's the other question. I mean, the early version of Bill Belichick, who I did think was doing what was quote-unquote best for the team, I think Drake May would have done well under that head coach. The later version of Bill Belichick, who I don't think was doing at all times what was best for the team, was doing what was best for Bill, what Bill wanted to do, I think that Drake May wouldn't have been as successful. Because when you're bringing in coordinators and you're trying to, get in Brady's way in terms of the Alex Guerrero stuff, and it looked like there was a power struggle, that didn't look like the best version of Bill Belichick, and I don't think Drake May would have been as good.
Good question, though, because teaching aspect-wise, we saw, Vrabel was on him early about not putting the ball down, not fumbling, not throwing. You watch him carry the ball now as he carries it in the pocket. It's up high by his chest and what have you. So it's the little things that he's been taught that he's doing. But I think having Josh McDaniels there, we saw with Wack Jones, I think it's a huge difference. So I think
100%.
He still would have been very good. I don't know if he'd be this good, but I still think he would have been fine under Belichick.
Don is
as
in
long
Weymouth.
as Josh was there.
Hey, Don.
What's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
Yep.
So I just wanted to talk about this new trend that's going on, and it's all the slander against the Boston sports. When the Celtics went on that playoff run back in 2024, and they beat all these teams, the excuse was all the teams they're beating, there's injuries, and then they go on and win the NBA championship. Now we've got the cupcake schedule for the Patriots. So what I want to know is what is going to be the excuse when the Patriots go to the playoffs and they start beating these teams?
That's a good point. The same thing happened with the Celtics, the schedule thing. They didn't play anyone. I mean, there were injuries along the way there. I could play the game. I mean, if they play the Chargers in the first round, what could that one be? Herbert was injured. That's why he's sitting out week 18, and they were coming on the road, and that's not a real test. And then if they go and play, somebody else might get. It'd probably be about injuries. That would be my guess. There's teams that get injured, and the Patriots. I don't know, but I just think that any team you look at, you could poke holes anywhere you want, and I'm not into that.
I agree. And I think the other part of that too, as I was thinking about this morning as I was driving in, is that I think I'm curious to see, and again, I trust the writers and the MVP voting, but part of me is like, is there still this slant against the Patriots?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have another quarterback be named the MVP of the league, and here we go again. We're making another star out of the New England. What I mean?
No, you're right.
And again, I'm saying pretty much they're human, so maybe there's in the back of some voters' minds. There's that, and it comes. I'm not voting for that kid. He's only 23.
Right,
it's his second year, had a good year, but here we go again. I'm not doing it. So I don't know. It's a good question because there's no question about it. There was some hatred for the Patriots.
Yep.
A lot of hatred out there for Belichick and Brady, and as we went along in that 20-year run.
And you're talking about, if you look at it juxtaposed to last year and Allen, I think there might have been the opposite. They haven't won a Super Bowl. They can't quite get over the hump, but Allen's been great. Let's give it to him. Let's give him something. Give him a little, throw him a bone. Because I think it was Lamar Jackson who won. Wasn't he the first team All-Pro quarterback? Right? But wasn't he last year? First team All-Pro quarterback, but Allen won the MVP.
Yeah.
And the same voters are voting. So they clearly were torn. But
which could happen this year.
Sure.
Would Stafford be the first team quarterback and May be the MVP?
I
don't know.
But I do think what you said is in play. There could be some lingering, when we factor in the schedule again, or he's young. Let's see what he can do in another year, where he has a harder schedule. That could be in play. So it's not a slam dunk, but I still think, if you're looking at it objectively, I don't see how everything we went over. Right. I don't see how I don't care that he had a harder game here and there, Matt Stafford.
You could call me a homer, which, the earlier caller did, and it's won't be the last time.
I feel like you're not a homer.
I think if you look at it subjectively, that it's just emerged. It's the way it's gone. Would I have said this a month ago? Maybe not. But I just think the way things have gone, and if you look at the choices, because remember Stafford and the Rams were so hot, and what have you, and you thought, okay, if Josh Allen beats him, if they beat him again, and they're going for a Super Bowl, then he's your MVP. I just think the way things have unfolded, and the way Drake had that test and overcame it and emerged the next week against the next time against Baltimore, that he's checked off all the boxes that you would in an MVP candidate. Maybe you want more touchdown passes. What's he got, 30, and Stafford has 40, but
42 now.
But what he does and the way he's done it, I just think that everything points to him being your MVP.
But the breakdowns, that's really the only statistical category that Stafford has the edge, is the touchdown passes and the interceptions, I think. Everything else is more Drake May has the edge.
So I think if you so you got in the Hall of Fame voting, we say that all the time. You've got statistics and you've got, what you see with your eyes. I think right now, in this last week, going into the last week, and it doesn't really matter much in this last week, you have statistically in every category, but you said, touchdown interception ratio, what have you. And you also have watching.
Mm-hmm.
Drake May is your MVP, right? What are you supposed to do against a bad team, Mark? Right?
You're supposed to beat their ass.
First 6 drives, you score 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do? Like everything that he's done. What are you supposed to do against the team when you're down with 5 minutes to go and you have a chance to, or 2 touchdowns with 12 minutes to go? You have a chance to rally your team. What are you supposed to do? Lead your team, make the correct throws, the right plays, and get them into the end zone twice. What do you do?
Yeah. I mean, you could talk about the Rams, and they've had some better wins, but they've also
Stafford
lost more on the
last
road.
night.
They've lost more, and they've been average basically on the road. And I'm sure if you go down, you can poke holes at their schedule too. They've got some good wins, but they've got some losses too. So it's whatever. I just feel like May for his team is more valuable, and that's the award. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Walter, who's in Boston. Hey, Walter.
Hey, I agree with you guys, but I think if Drake brings it home next game, he should have been MVP. But you guys keep bringing up Bill around here. If you watch McAfee's draft, Bill didn't want Drake May. He thought they should have went with Byron Murphy, and he wanted to bring back Patricia and them. So you heard Josh on you guys' pregame show with Burton say that how Vrabel relates to the young players. Bill would have nickeled and dimed free agents. I don't think we would have got Diggs. I don't think we would have got Hollins. We might have got Hollins, but I just think that the roster would have looked totally different, and he would have tried to bring in his type guy. I think it's the thing that's going to keep Bill out of the NFL again is his draft, and him always have to have control, because he could coach, but I don't think the team would look the same if Bill was here.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I think but that wasn't the point.
Yeah,
the point was if Belichick was here, would he still be a candidate for the MVP? Not about building your team and who would have been here and everything else. Those certainly are factors, but right now, same teams and everything else. If you just put Belichick in and Vrabel out, would he be the MVP? With Josh McDaniels, there's certainly a lot of positives, but maybe the big picture, maybe not. Right?
Belichick was here a long time. I was trying to think of it in terms of his entire run in New England. If you talk about what he was doing at the end, no question, he probably would have ruined Drake May. Probably wouldn't even be close. There wouldn't be people, like the caller said, some of the guys wouldn't be here. Diggs might not be here. That guy was completely distracted. He was not the same coach. Cheerleaders, running around. I'm talking about Bill. If you go back to 2006 or 2003, the totality of Bill Belichick, I think if it was Brady starting out as May was starting out with that Bill Belichick, I think they could have worked Charlie Weiss with that Bill Belichick, the defensive maestro.
You think that guy would empower Drake May to be the leader that he is today? Because I don't. I think, you're the leader, but after me, though. I don't feel like Mike Vrabel has that same sense of gravitas that Bill Belichick walked around this place for 2 decades.
I feel you, but Brady worked. What was different? Brady's great at quarterback.
I don't necessarily think that Brady could sit and take the barbs and know that. I heard Brandon Bolden tell this story that they got shredded after a win, and Bill Belichick is showing film, and he's like, we're supposed to have the greatest effing quarterback, and Brady walked out of the meeting. Now they proceeded to go scorched earth and have like insane practices. To be fair, I don't know if Drake May has that same thing in him where you can sit and constantly put him down the way Bill Belichick would put down Tom Brady. Yeah, I don't know if it would work the same way.
You don't think Drake would be able to handle that?
Oh, I think he would. I think it's apples.
I'm not
oranges.
saying that he can't, but right? I think it's a very different circumstance that Drake May would be placed upon.
It's a different time.
It's a different scenario. You'd have to lay out the entire season, and I understand exactly what you're saying, but I just think I like to steer away from that because I don't think it's relevant right here, right now. We're just making up this situation. In the current present situation with what you have, here's where it's at.
Yeah.
Right?
Just one more thing on that real quick.
Yeah, no.
No, don't keep talking about it.
Mark and I are having a conversation.
I just want...
My power finally turned back on. I'm feeling a lot better now.
Congratulations. Poor Ryan.
Thank you.
Lost his power
The
last
big
night.
I know, it's rough, but this MVP bet's going well. So you could give some of the money to the plumber.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay. The thing about Belichick, how much of a culture would what type of culture, practice, all of those things would Drake May have created? How intense would he be holding teammates accountable? We're still figuring all that out. Belichick, I feel like we play for Tom, we work for Bill. That was the big. I still to this day feel the Patriot way was 80% Tom Brady, and Belichick implemented things that Brady executed. And could May do the same things? If May was not as efficient like Brady was, he wouldn't have been as successful.
Well, what do you say it is now? If it was 80% Brady, 20% Belichick, what is it now?
For Vrabel?
This year, Vrabel, May. Don't you think it's the other way around?
I don't think it's the other way around.
I think it started out
it's closer than
and now
80-20.
I think it's going back up. Like I think it started maybe 80% Vrabel, 20% May, and now it's going higher and higher. May, and Vrabel goes down because they've learned what Mike wants them to learn.
Correct.
And now Drake can take over, and he has taken over down the stretch as a leader and everything else. And two, part of that though is it clicked on me last night. Is don't forget a guy that won 3 Super Bowl championships and is a competitive, being down at the Nashville Patriots practices group. What do we call them?
Joint
practices. Watching that Brady go after Vrabel. Vrabel's coaching Titans. Brady's leading the offense. They're doing goal line, and they're yapping at each other. To see what Christian Barmore posted last night on Twitter. I retweeted it. You go to Rochi, ROCHIEWBZ. Love my coach, man. And they show the clip of Vrabel basically saying F him. You know, and the whole situation with Aaron Glenn, what are you doing calling timeout after timeout and everything else? And he calls a timeout. He turns his F him. And then you see Drake May and you see Brendan Schooler just like shock and laugh. You know, don't forget that this guy's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and that's what you want right now while you're the coach, is as competitive as they're going to be out there as things unfold here down the stretch. Wait till the playoffs, Mark. He's going to be a different coach, even more so, ramping up intensity and ramping up everything else. That's going to be part of this, what we're going to watch here, and fun to watch to see what they're able to do in the postseason.
I've always loved Vrabel's edge. Even going back to when he was a player and used to give Belichick the business.
Right.
Nobody gave Belichick the business. Maybe Matt Light. He would give him crap. He wouldn't care. I remember, you know where I hated it, but I loved it. You remember when they beat the Patriots? Brady's last game, and Vrabel was in the tunnel. The hyenas, where are the hyenas now? Because Brady posted that video pregame. He was doing all those videos about the hyena or whatever that one was, and he was getting up and he was chirping that. I love that. I was pissed, but that's him, and I think it brings a swagger to the team, a mentality to the team. This is who he is, and it's good. The guys love it because when you factor that in with all the family stuff and the dynamic of the, caring about your players and letting the wives in. And
now it's like, this has been a great regular season. Yeah. Right? That's the message to Patriots fans in my mind. So whether you finish, you should finish 14-3. Yeah. When you do that, the season ends. And now I think we'll get greedy because you want them to go as far as they go just because it's fun to watch. It's fun to be around and everything else too. Now you're going to see what this coach and quarterback have with this team going forward. And that's the cool part. It's been a heck of a great season, regular season, something to appreciate. And now as we start the new year, now you're going to see what you have here. And part of that is that competitive drive, that competitive nature of Vrabel is going to have them ready to go bust through a wall when they come out of the tunnel at Gillette Stadium in either 2 weeks or, if they could get the number 1 seed 3 weeks, what have you. But it's going
to come down to some matchups. It's going to come down to some X's and O's in the playoffs, which I think Vrabel is plenty capable of performing in those areas.
With anybody.
So
by the way, I don't blame Harbaugh for sitting Herbert because you don't have a bye, and it's clear that But here's what I blame Harbaugh for: they should be playing Denver for the top seed. For the AFC West this week, and they're not. That game against Houston the other night. Mm-hmm. How many times, Jim, are you going to hand the ball off and then also have Herbert drop back 8 steps, not 9 steps, and look, throw the ball 20 yards downfield?
Yeah.
Could you have some guys at the line of scrimmage? Could you throw, short, beat him short, beat him quick? Because Houston's relentless coming after you. Yes. I was like, just throw. You're trying to throw the ball 25 yards downfield every single pass attempt. Yeah. And it works sometimes, but man, you're going to get your quarterback killed.
Yep.
And B is you have a chance to use all your speed, use your players like McConkey and Hampton out of the back. Just go at him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I thought his strategy was like old school. And I'm like, what are you doing? You got to adapt to team that's going to, if the Texans come after you, you got to beat them quick. So
we're going to see. I mean, it looks like as of now, that'll be the matchup. We can go over some of that later. 617-779-0985. Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald will join us at 8 o'clock. Mark Dundaro, Dan Roach. Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
Correct.
You and I were both like, wow, that makes you feel like, I don't know about age or what have you, but it just makes you stop and think. Like, Tiger's 50 years old, so we talked about him for the first 15 minutes of the show. People saying, "Wait, is he okay?" Tiger's fine.
Yeah.
He just turned 50 years old. That's all.
I don't care. I'll talk about Tiger Woods for no reason.
Tiger's doing just fine.
He's trying to work his way back, isn't he? He wants to play golf again. So I'll talk about Tiger Woods for no reason at all. Doesn't have to be his birthday. So whatever.
A couple of other notes. Northwestern hiring Chip Kelly as the school's new offensive coordinator. Pete Thamel has that today. So he started at UNH, started his career at UNH. So, again, he's got another job. He was fired mid-season by the Vegas Raiders after signing a nice, hefty contract.
I thought he was on his way after that Week 1 performance. Geno Smith looked great.
Ohio State last year, what he was able to do there. So
crazy. Let's go back to some calls. Randy's in Providence. Randy, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good.
So, I was calling because I think, some of these pieces, the new guys that you brought in, you've been talking about them, Stephon Diggs and stuff, that fit into the system real well, fit into the culture that they're trying to build real well. I'm curious if Christian Barmore may not be a great fit into the culture that they're trying to build and it kind of into the team. And it's not just about the whole sideline thing this past weekend, which looked a little tense to me in terms but it's not even just about that. But I was listening to Patriots reporters that kind of excuse making about, all these getting held all the time, but other people aren't necessarily seeing that over the past several games. He hasn't been that effective. And I think that last summer, Vrabel and company looked like they were trying to clear out all the big contracts from the past decision makers. And I think if they could have, they might have with him.
That's a good question.
He hadn't been healthy.
Well, I think what you're saying is along those lines. I think he's one of those guys that has grown into the culture of created by Mike Vrabel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I thought we talked about it last week. I think Mark about Keon White.
Yeah,
kid with all the ability in the world. You think, if you could tap into that ability, you've got something there. And I thought it might have been a good match for Vrabel, because after Gerard was gone, he came out and said that, okay, now we have a coach or what have you. And you saw a lot of Vrabel working with him one-on-one in training camp, just trying to help him with moves and things like that. Then he had a little hiccup where he was, he did something wrong, was punished, sat out the first series or what have you. So I think he's been taught a lot by Mike Vrabel, and to see him tweet out, the tweet yesterday or whatever, say that's my coach, that's a good sign. So I don't think the caller was wrong, and I thought at some point too that they may say goodbye to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Vrabel came in here and again looked at all the players, looked at what he had, and kept certain players. And I think now, at least for now, Barmore's on board, and I think that's a great sign because he's got, we've seen the ability. He's been paid for that ability too. So if they can keep him in the right direction, he's feisty. We saw it the other day. Vrabel ran out to kind of get him to go keep your composure and everything else, and Barmore's giving it right back to him in the sense of. He's a coach. He started it. And Vrabel said after the game, the officials told him that Barmore was doing the best he could because those guys were indeed trying to start something with him. So I think, again, all growing pains. This kid's a young kid. You know what I mean? He's been through a lot in his career. Blood clots last year prevented him from playing. So to see what Mike's been able to do with him is a good sign.
You have to be very careful right now if you're the Patriots. This is a different dynamic because they're winning. They're contending. Now, I don't know if the Super Bowl is in the cards this year, but they are on a trajectory where you can't just start giving away guys. You can't do, John, hey, giving away Rafael Devers if you want to compete. They're still not totally proven in the draft. A lot of people like to refer to this year's draft class and all the things that the contributions they've made, and that's fine. That's a note that I can accept, but do they have any Pro Bowlers? Or do we have any future Pro Bowlers? Maybe Travion Henderson. We'll see. I don't know if Will Campbell is even that. I mean, it looks like Will Campbell is going to be a hit. Maybe Matt Light, maybe Nate Solder hits, but I don't know if he's going to dominate at that position and be an all-pro multiple times over. So we still need to see them draft and execute in the draft. You can't be giving away talent, and I don't want them to give away a guy like Christian Barmore. I want them to work with a guy like Christian Barmore, like we've seen Vrabel do.
Right, and that was the difference between him and Keon White. Now, Barmore had proven himself a little bit more, obviously, but I think they throw up their hands and said, you know what, this is not going to work.
Well, right, if he's a complete if it becomes a situation where it's unmanageable, that's different. But it doesn't feel like that. With it just, hey, he might be a little emotional. He's got to just
be a little bit immature
right.
too. For how old's he? 24.
Yeah, he's still young.
Just a kid.
John is in the car. Hey, John.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't like the MVP talks because all you seem to do is pick apart the bad games that these guys have. What did Stafford throw for 460 against Seattle when they lost that game 39-38? I mean, he couldn't do any more that night than he did, and it just wasn't good enough that night because the defense let him down. But he's the quarterback, so he's got to shoulder that burden. Drake May lost to Las Vegas. Drake May lost to Pittsburgh and turned the ball over 5 times. Mm-hmm. Drake May blew a 24-0 lead to Buffalo 3 weeks ago. I'm not blaming Drake May per se, but if we're going to do this, we got to go all the way back to week 1 and look at the throw-ups that Drake May had all over himself, and that's part of the season. He's been a lot better now, obviously, and I understand that. If it were me, the way I would look at it and say the Rams went out and got Hopkins, a pretty good receiver, and Stafford would he throw him 11 touchdown passes in 3-4 games or something like that? The Patriots did nothing for Drake May, and he's even better than he was before. So if I was to take May and switch him with Stafford, I can't see how Stafford would survive on this team because he can't run, he can't move, and May has to run and move just to get away from some of the holes on this offensive line. So, at the end of the day, May had the better year. I'm not saying he did, but you got to go all the way back to the beginning of the year because it's part of the year.
You can do that.
I agree.
May, first of all, May didn't turn the ball over 5 times. Didn't they have a couple fumbles in that game? So there wasn't all on Drake May. Yes, they blew the 21-0 lead, the 24-7 lead. It was awful offense in the second half. Drake May, that's on him. However, the defense was not good. The only game that I'll really put on Drake May was the Raiders. I thought he got severely outplayed in that game. Maybe a little bit of that Steelers game, but I thought Geno Smith just outplayed him in that game. That was a bad Drake May moment. Week 1. Okay, it was 1 week. I mean, the Buffalo game, he built a 24-7 lead. It was bad in the second half. I'm not putting that all on Drake May with how the defense played. So,
and look what he did in that first Buffalo game too.
Right.
When they needed,
and in the first half, he had a move
to throw to Diggs and what have you. So I just think it's evolved over the course of the season. And yes, there are guys that throw for yards, Dak Prescott or what have you. That's the way it is. Right? Statistically, the quarterback's your focus.
Yeah.
But I think Stafford has, and I don't ever count Stafford out of a game. I don't ever count Josh Allen out of a game. But if you look at the entire body of work down the stretch, what they were at the beginning became, I still think that Drake May is playing at the best and highest MVP level out of all those guys right now. I think he's earned that award. It's my opinion. I don't have a vote. But if I was to vote today, maybe if I voted a month ago, I'd have had a different vote. Maybe I would have voted
for Stafford a few weeks back. Yeah.
I just think the way things have evolved and the way that Drake has evolved, maybe less so about Stafford. I just think that if they were like this, I think that Drake kept coming, going up and up and up. And he passed him. Yeah. I just think for his whole body of work that he deserves to be the MVP. And I don't really talk about MVP awards and what have you with this kind of stuff because I'm more concerned about the team and how they're going to do. But if it's what we're doing today,
it's a big deal.
I think that he's the MVP.
If he wins the MVP, it's a big deal. It makes him, it validates him to a degree that a lot of his contemporaries have not gotten that validation. Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud, that puts him on another level and really it sets his trajectory on a higher
look at what Caleb Williams has done this year with the Bears, right? They're Ben Johnson, they're same type of thing, that turnaround. But I don't think he's played like an MVP.
No, and if he were to take a step back next year, would anybody be shocked if they took a step back? I wouldn't be shocked. And we opened the show talking about Tiger Woods. When the MVP, when you win a golf tournament, a lot of times, and Woods will say this, it's not all about birdies. It's about some of the pars you make that keep you from those bad holes, those bogeys that allow other people to get back in the tournament. That was a really bad hole last night that Matt Stafford played. Really, I mean, You throw 2 pick sixes, 3 interceptions on the road. You miss the guy with the game on the line, wide open receiver, no pressure. You just miss him. Really bad game for Stafford in the MVP discussion. Jerry's in Marblehead. Hey, Jerry.
Hey, how you guys doing this morning?
Good. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you guys, too. It's just kind of fun to be able to have, for the last 2 years, how bad it's went, to be able to have this conversation is kind of crazy in my mind anyhow, because how far we come.
Mm-hmm.
But how I look at it is, I know someone yesterday said, I don't look at the record, or they said that, but I understand that the Rams division's much stronger than the Patriots, and their schedule is obviously much harder, no question. But they're third place in their division, so in my mind, if you give the MVP right now, as it stands, if you give the guy, his team's in third place in their own division, I mean, is that most valuable? Not in my mind. I mean, that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, say it out loud. The Rams are in third place. You're going to give the MVP to the quarterback who directed his team to third place? That doesn't sound. It makes sense.
Well, and it's part of the reason why. And part of it is he just hasn't had the same numbers, but part of the reason why Jonathan Taylor was such a hot-button topic early on or midway through the season, because of what the Colts were doing and Daniel Jones and the record and everything else.
They were winning.
He was an MVP candidate. You know what I mean? He was people were talking about him, and it's just he kind of faded back because of the way the team went, and it's just his yardage it wasn't the same. And that's kind of how it's gone. And Stafford was probably the number one choice, was until last night. And then they had the hiccup last night. So
2 pick sixes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big swing. You could lose the game and not do that. I mean, that's a big swing for the voters, for the viewing public, all of the above. 617-779-0985. Andrew Callahan coming up at 8 o'clock. Mark Dondero, Dan Roach, Toucher and Hardy, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Last night in the NFL, the Rams fell in Atlanta to the now 7-9 Falcons by the count of 27-24. Matt Stafford, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions, including 2 pick sixes. And as a result, Drake May is now the betting favorite on DraftKings to win the NFL MVP award. Stafford drops to second as of now. That's the good news for the Patriots. The bad news is that Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh announced on Monday that his quarterback, Justin Herbert, will not play in their Week 18 matchup at Denver, which means the likelihood of a Broncos loss in New England securing the number 1 seed in the AFC took a massive hit. Patriots, meanwhile, are off today. They'll be back on the practice field on Wednesday ahead of their game against the Dolphins on Sunday in Foxborough. Nikola Jokic, who leads the NBA in assists and rebounds, went down last night during Denver's game with the Heat with what they're calling, the Nuggets are calling a knee injury. He'll get an MRI today to confirm the severity of the injury. Celtics will be back on the floor tonight in Utah, 9 p.m. tip. You can hear that game right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. John Wallach and Cedric Maxwell will be on the call. Bruins, meanwhile, they fell to the Flames last night in overtime by the score of 2-1. Andrew Peak had the tally for Boston. And at the World Juniors, James Higgins, BC star and Bruins draft pick, scored twice for the Americans as Team USA came back to beat Slovakia 6-5 and remain undefeated. Next up for the United States will be a date with Sweden on New Year's Eve. Finally, according to sources, Northwestern is set to hire former Raiders OC Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180. Happy holidays from Paige and the entire Awaken 180 team. Wishing you a season full of joy, good health, and happiness in the new year. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Next update, around 30 minutes.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
And it still makes Drake May the favorite for MVP. 3 interceptions, too many.
I saw one of the headlines of Andrew Callahan's story. And he said Drake May's near perfect game against the Jets breakdown. So he was his article in the Herald. So that's what we're talking about.
Which is accurate.
Timing, too. Like it or not. Right?
Yeah.
People see what they see. They saw Stafford throw 3 picks last night. Looks like the odds have shifted. So Drake May is now the favorite for the MVP. And people want to get mad about it. I don't know why everybody's so angry about it. It's like, good Lord, people. Just enjoy the fact that the kid's one of the top 2 now candidates for MVP and is having a heck of a second year. And the team is too, and everybody else is.
It makes for a fun conversation when you factor in the opponents and the schedule. And Mike Kavlik, who will join us at 9:20, broke down common opponents on Twitter and what it looks like between May and Stafford. I think it's a big deal. We've seen these quarterbacks have an ability to regress at times, maybe look good, hit a high and then kind of come back down to earth. If you win the MVP, you're put in that Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Like, those guys didn't really come back down to earth. Did they have all the success that they would have liked in the postseason, Lamar Jackson? No. But there was no regression. Not like you saw Trevor Lawrence, not like you've seen C.J. Stroud's look better this year, but there was a minute there. We've seen it. I mean, injuries, but even Jaden Daniels this year, did not look the same this year as he did last year. They had a disastrous season in Washington. So, if you win the MVP, that's a different animal.
And it matters. When I always say, when you look back at the careers of players, some of the things that go in their biography, that's one of it. MVP. Now, I think in the NFL, a lot of it is Super Bowl champion. How many times are you a Super Bowl champion? That defines you. But in baseball, I always laugh because people laugh at the All-Star game and the choices and everything else, and guys get ticked off when they're not in or their players aren't in. The first thing you read when you go to the plaques at the Hall of Fame in baseball are Carl Yastrzemski, 18-time All-Star. You know what I mean? That's the first thing you see. So it's this, again, it's close. I just think of the body of work. I think the way things have gone down the stretch. I think the Baltimore game, I think the Jets, the precision-like performance today, as I sit here, if I had a vote, I would vote Drake May first, Matthew Stafford second. That's what I would do.
And that's what the trend has been. Like I just said, the best quarterbacks now, the best in their second-ish year, are right there, win the MVP. That's what Mahomes did. That's not what you did when you took, Tom Brady 2000 or, some of these quarterbacks dating back to the 90s or early 2000s. You didn't do that then. Now that's what you do. Peyton Manning. When did Peyton Manning win his first MVP? I'd have to look it up. Year 5, 6, something like that. I mean, I don't think he won an MVP in it was Kurt Warner. Maybe Kurt Warner won early on in his career. He was older when he came into the league. We'll have to look that up. But now the younger quarterbacks who are the studs can win the MVP. Tom is in Wayland. Hey, Tom.
Hey, guys. I'm not saying Will Campbell is bad. He's played decent. But do you think the team views him as the left guard, like the left tackle of the future? Or do you think that if they had the opportunity, they would draft somebody else or trade for somebody if they could?
I think today that they look at him as the left tackle of today and the left tackle of the future. I think that Mike Vrabel loves everything about him, loves the competitive fire in him that you kind of don't see when you look at him and you talk to him, what have you. He's got that aw shucks and just a kind of a kid, ripping off his shirt in the luxury suite at a Celtics game. But I think when you get him out there, we saw some of the nastiness, some of the blocks, the run blocking downfield and what have you, finishing off guys. I think, yes. I think you have to be very happy with his rookie year, except getting hurt. I think he looks at Will Campbell, and I don't think he goes into the draft next year and say we need a left tackle. I think he goes into the draft saying we need this, and this.
Correct.
To continue to build depth.
I think as of now they view Will Campbell as a left tackle, other than getting hurt. He hasn't done anything to deter that line of thinking. Not to me. Like I said, is he going to be? Was he a left? Orlando Pace, one of the best, the greatest of all time. I think he was a left tackle. Was he a left tackle?
Yeah,
I don't remember. But one of the great ones, Joe Thomas. I don't know if it's that, but I don't think he has to be that with Drake May in his game. Just be decent. A Pro Bowl here and there. Be a solid NFL starter. I think that's good enough. And you can play the position. I think the Patriots would be happy with that. I'm not saying they'll never draft another tackle. They might
also
see what happens.
Give a credit to Doug Marrone and that staff for what they've done in that offensive line. Look at Vidarian Lowe. Look at Vidarian Lowe last year, and people were all over him, with the issues that he had, and he's followed along, gotten in line, and from the sense of this is what we're teaching, this is how we're doing it. Look at that offensive line. Again, you had Wilson out, you had Campbell out on that left side of the line. Vidarian Lowe and Ben Brown step in and do an amazing job. And to me, one of the highlights of my season from a personal standpoint is Ben Brown. Just how giddy he was.
Yeah.
To get that contract extension last week. It was like he was just laughing. I'm buying dinner for the whole offensive line this week. This is the greatest thing. My dad, we used to watch Patriots games, and I'd never think I'd ever have a chance to play in the NFL. And look where I am.
They're going to need that depth, and they're going to need guys like that.
And he's rewarded for what he's done, which is cool.
All right. All right, Mark Dundare, Dan Roach, Toucher and Hardy. When we get back, Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald will join us. Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
6, not 2. That was my bad. And as a result, Drake May is now the betting favorite on DraftKings to win the NFL MVP. Stafford has dropped to second. That's the good news for the Patriots. The bad news is that the Chargers head coach, Jim Harbaugh, announced on Monday that his quarterback, Justin Herbert, will not play in their Week 18 game at Denver, which means the likelihood of the Broncos losing and New England securing the number 1 seed in the AFC. That took a massive hit with the news. Patriots, meanwhile, they're off today. They'll be back on the practice field on Wednesday ahead of their matchup with the Dolphins on Sunday in Foxborough. Nikola Jokic, who leads the NBA in rebounds and assists, went down last night during Denver's game with the Heat with what the Nuggets are calling a knee injury. He'll get an MRI today to confirm the severity of the injury. Celtics back on the floor tonight in Utah, 9 p.m. tip. You can hear that game right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. John Wallach and Cedric Maxwell on the call. Bruins fell to the Flames last night by the score of 2-1 in overtime. Andrew Peeke had the tally for Boston. At the World Juniors, James Hagan scored twice for the Americans as Team USA came back to beat Slovakia 6-5 and remain undefeated. Next up for the United States will be a date with Sweden on New Year's Eve. Finally, according to sources, Northwestern is set to hire former Raiders OC Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Super Service Today. Winter is here. Don't get caught in the cold. Super Service Today delivers New England's most complete heating system, health and safety check, catching problems before they catch you. Stay safe, stay warm. Book now at superservicetoday.com. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Next update around 30 minutes.
If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you are.
Or who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app. The 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Toucher and Hardy.
Individuals who seek acceptance, respite, and care.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Austin Herald. Andrew, Happy New Year. How are you?
Good morning. Happy New Year. Feel like today is the appetizer mark for our full show tomorrow.
Correct.
Dan, all due respect, you are always the main course, but just as far as my scheduling, it's good to be here.
No disrespect taken.
It's good to see you.
Okay.
Not yet.
I'm sorry we were...
Anyone ever call you Andy when you were growing up?
No.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I was worried I was going to call you AC. We had a thing yesterday where I called Alex Barth AB, and Ryan didn't like it. I don't know if Barth...
Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Wildly uncomfortable and inappropriate.
AC is Alex Cora.
There are no two people in my life, a term I use very generally because I don't have Antonio Brown's phone number like I do Alex Barth, that could not be more disparate. Like, I cannot think of someone who is less like Antonio Brown than our friend Alex Barth.
That's a good one.
But how did he take to AB?
I think he was fine. Okay. I think Ryan had more of our producer had more of a problem with it than he did. But it spawned this conversation about how I have this bad habit of kind of assigning nicknames in an attempt to sort of become more endearing towards the person, but without actually knowing them all that well or asking them their take or their input on the actual nickname.
The non-permission nickname. You know what that is? That is a youth coach in you. Would you definitely coach something, yeah?
I've coached my kids' sports, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You just give the kid a nickname that's their identity in the dugout, on the sideline, on the whatever it is. That's where that comes from.
And drives my wife crazy when people call me Roach and not Roachy.
Oh,
really? I don't know why.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
She doesn't like
they don't like
your
last names.
The last name. Roachy would be the nickname. Roach is just your name.
And my dad, everybody called my dad Roachy. So my daughter, they call her Roachy.
What are they?
To some extent, yes.
What do they call your wife? Her name's Pam, right?
Pamela.
Just Pamela. Oh, Pamela.
I do. Hi, Pamela.
What about when you're mad at her? Like your kids get the full
mad
name?
at my wife?
Never. Come on.
I can't.
Wow.
Dan. Come on.
I don't buy it.
I'll say woman. That gets her mad right away.
There you go.
So
That's what I wanted.
You go with the 3-syllable name all the time.
Yeah.
Wow. I couldn't do it.
I used to have a nickname when I was young, in third grade. I got the nickname Ernie because there was a character on a sitcom.
Sesame Street.
That I got glasses for the first time, and I looked like Ernie on this show. So all of my high school friends still call me Ernie.
What was the sitcom?
My Three Sons.
Oh.
I'm going to look this up.
Okay.
The little kid named Ernie.
So let me, just because you brought up the when you were a kid,
Squints.
How do you feel about what's the protocol if there's somebody you knew as a kid, they had a nickname, but then you run into them again as an adult? Yeah, if you knew a kid, Mike Woods, and you called him Woodsy, and then you see him as an adult, can you still call him Woodsy?
Same. One of my best friends growing up, I had two best friends all through high school and everything. EJ Folds. And he was just EJ always, but Bob Kilcoyne, retired firefighter now in North Andover, killer. And still to this day.
But are they friends of yours?
Yeah.
Well, okay, but they're friends. I'm saying a guy that you knew as a kid, but you're not friends with. You weren't really the relation. He was in your second grade class. You don't have much of a relationship. But when you knew him, he was woodsy. But then you run into him
I never
as
think
an
of
adult.
Well, did it end well? Did it? Just,
I know. It ended well.
Time
It
pass?
ended well.
Yeah. Okay,
You just kind
You
of
go with the
drifted
nickname.
apart.
Yeah, if things go well in the first couple of minutes, say you're in the frozen food aisle at the supermarket, then you call him Woodsy. Things are warming up aside from the food.
Okay.
And you just
Hey,
kind of
Woodsy,
tap
you
into
remember me?
that nickname.
You know?
Yeah, you don't shout from across the room, hey, Woodsy!
Yeah.
It's just
okay.
Oh, Michael? Oh, good to see you.
Yeah.
Hey, it's really good to see you, Woodsy. You
Okay.
you warm
Did you have
back
a
up.
nickname? I mean, when I was a kid, they called me D. In college, I was kind of Dondy.
Dondy.
Wow.
And I was saying
MD?
yesterday, not MD, but my Twitter trolls call me Dondy a lot. I don't know why. I don't know where that came from on Twitter, but that's what they'll. Dondy. Yeah.
That's a hockey thing, too. Everything has to end in E.
Yeah.
Borky. It's
Borky. Play a little hockey. Borky.
Halsey.
Yeah. Southie. Okay. I thought that because I've been spoken to by my wife about referring to people who had nicknames back in the the late 90s when I knew them, and then I see them at a reunion or something, and I just go right to the nickname. And she's like, they might not want to be called that anymore. It's like, oh,
That's revertigo. Like you see someone from your past and you just kind of slip back into whatever the names were, how you spoke, what you talked
A
about.
lot of times it's fondness.
I think that's
Yeah.
Do you have a nickname for her? Was she, when you first met her, something
no,
nickname?
I call her Babe a lot.
Babe?
It's a Babe thing.
Okay.
Even though she did just send me a video yesterday. You guys could probably speak to this.
I don't think we want to talk about this.
Well, no. This is fine. I don't know why she sent this to me, but
You know how Dondy gets down.
No, I don't. I wish I got those videos. But she sent me a video of it's like some Irish guy talking about Irish nicknames and how it's so much more intimate. So get Babe or Baby out of here. There's like Irish nicknames for your lover that are much more intimate. That I don't know if that was her way of saying, hey, you need to start adopting these. She's very Irish.
Was there a caption with the video that she sent? Or did she just send the link?
She sent the link on Instagram. It was like a message on Instagram.
Attention, Dundee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I got to look into that a little bit more.
My
So
darling shillelagh.
it was something like that.
Intimate as in
I
like
had a
sweet
shillelagh.
or just gets very personal and or sensual?
No, it's an Irish. It's in, I don't know if it's in Gaelic or it was like a different language that meant my sweet or my treasure or something like that.
Okay,
was
so
just
it's
a
sweet. Okay.
Yeah, sweet. It's not anything. Yeah, okay.
All right, so
A
back
little
to the
more
Patriots.
effort than your last name, and I throw a Y at the end.
Yeah.
That was the point. Okay.
Okay.
Right, because you don't have a nickname, right?
I got AC sometimes.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. I like that.
Callahan has become the. I mean, that's not a nickname.
That's,
it's like
that's
Roach.
a last name. That's
No,
a last
I
name.
understand, but it's like what do people call you in the market?
Yeah.
I get that a fair amount here, which is fine. Never really Andy. My idiot home friends will call me Drew because they just got lazy in high school and
Gotcha.
dropped the first
Yeah.
That's
syllable.
like Dundee, right? That's like same type of thing.
Well, I mean,
That hockey
yeah.
nickname.
Drew. I mean, I'm a one-syllable guy, so I understand why people would go with that.
Yeah,
Like, I
it's a
don't
very specific group of friends, though. And then when I cross-pollinate the friend groups, they go, what? What did they call you? Yeah, Drew. Guys I had known for 10, 12 years of my life, and then just pivoted. Like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna shorten this up.
Right.
We're gonna save some time.
It's
Is
not
that okay?
Andrew Callahan.
No.
Okay.
This is my fault. I've gotten us.
Yeah,
So
we're out of time.
Yep.
Andrew,
What was your headline, Andrew?
Did the Patriots?
In the Herald.
Yeah.
What was your headline today?
Yeah, inside Drake May's near perfect game.
There you go.
It's I will say this because I texted with our pal Mike Giardi about this, and he and I podcast every week, and we get into Drake's tape and the numbers. It wasn't as sparkling on the tape as it was in first view, but that is to say, there was like a little splotch on the windshield that you had just taken through the car wash. You know what I mean? Like 19 of 21 for 256 and 5 touchdowns. First of all, is the second time in his career where Drake May has attempted 20 or more passes, and fewer than 3 have fallen incomplete. So 0, 1, or 2. Second time in his career. You know how many times
one of those was a drop, right?
Yes. You know how many times Tom Brady did that?
No.
20 or more passes, 0, 1, or 2 incompletions.
Nuns.
Once.
Wow.
In 23 years. Which is not too...
You know what year he did that? Just curious.
Yeah. You will remember this game. 2007.
Uh-huh.
It was their first playoff game that year, so technically January 2008. Who cares?
Yeah.
26-28 versus the Jaguars and a 31-20 win. where they had said, we're taking Randy Moss out of this. You got to live underneath. He goes, oh, we got Wes Welker. I can live all day underneath. Right. And they won. So the point is, it's not just the accuracy. It's not just the decision making anymore. It's not the extending plays, the reading defenses, the processing. It's all of it put together. And so I get it's the Jets, who have a historically bad pass defense by DVOA, down with anybody in recent league history, last 30, 40 years. But there are only certain quarterbacks that can do that. Drake May, obviously now one of them.
Let's get a quick call. I want to take Matt in Reading. Hey, can you call up Matt? I'm frozen here. Thanks, man. Matt, what's up?
Hey, guys. I was just hearing you talk about your nicknames and what people would call you now. Back in high school, I was 5'11", 142 pounds. My nickname was Bones. I had bones coming out of every part of my body. My basketball coach made me use my elbows as weapons. Years later, now I'm 210 pounds. I see a classmate in the bar. He sees me. He goes, Bones, you're fat. And so now they don't know what to call me. So my last name's Sullivan. I think they reverted to Sully now. So no more Bones.
Okay. I like that. Bones is good.
It's the first Sully you'd ever call in Boston, huh?
That ages well. Yes, that's true. You know what I mean?
Bones?
Like, I don't want to mess with him now. Before, Bones was like, oh, you're tiny, you're thin, just as Bones explained it. Now it's like, oh. Like if he's going on a first day, oh, what's your nickname? Bones. Oh,
now it's boneless.
Oh yeah,
Too
many boneless.
See, but I feel like when you, and this is part of the reason why I do it. If you're calling somebody by a nickname, it means you have some affection for them, which I think is in general a good thing. In general, and that's why I like it when I hear. I mean, I can't think of an example at the top of my head, but Mike Vrabel will talk, and he'll refer to somebody in a way. It's a nickname.
Diggsy.
I forget. He did it recently. I forget who he was talking about.
Stick.
Somebody I didn't think he would maybe be as close to on a nickname level, but he referred to one of the players by their nickname.
Thundercat? Oh, no.
We didn't go with that one.
Different coach.
But we just didn't. So that makes me say, hey, they're pretty close. The chemistry's pretty good. That's good for the team. Back to the team. Did Drake May, Andrew, win the MVP last night?
Not yet, because Matthew Stafford's going to play on Sunday, and so will Drake May. So there's an opportunity for this to swing back. Do I think that's likely? No. Do I think it's even a 50-50 proposition? No. But I think when we all consider, as we all have in New England for a long time, what does Drake May have around him? What is he doing with his legs? Both of those are big check boxes in his favor over Matthew Stafford, which those aren't the only ones, of course. Completion percentage, yards per attempt, some of the EPA stuff is all there with Drake May. The case for Matthew Stafford comes down to the schedule, and I think at this point, just given how consistent Drake May has been, that when you consider everything, he will win the MVP. And the last point I'll make is this, because this isn't as weighted statistically, but it is from like a human nature perspective, right? The primetime games that Drake May had, Week 5 versus Buffalo leads a comeback. Oh, look at this. Big win. Sunday night versus the Ravens, 11-point comeback. And even a Thursday night versus the Jets where he lights them on fire in the first half, and same with the Giants. Every time the whole nation has been watching, the whole league has been watching, everyone goes, he's got it. Matthew Stafford obviously has got it, but it lost to the Seahawks where he played great, and they just fell apart. And then last night. So your recency bias, the last thing in your memory, the biggest memories you have of the national spotlight, all swing in Drake May's favor. And I think with the newness of him, the consistency, everything I just listed off, he will win MVP.
What happens if he throws 253 touchdowns this week against the Dolphins, and in his last game, Stafford does what Drake did this past week? It throws for 5 touchdowns against Arizona.
Yeah, I think it's a wash. I mean, but you look at Arizona and Miami.
I think this weekend he won.
He would have to lose it.
Cemented.
I think that's the best way to put it. And he might not even play past the third quarter like we saw last weekend because, if I'm the Patriots, and this is a separate conversation, I'm scoreboard watching. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's 4:30. The Denver game matters as much to me as whatever the Dolphins want to do in Foxborough. If Drake May is playing and then you see the scoreboard and it's 23-0 Broncos in the third quarter, hey, Drake, come over to the bench. And at that point, he can't do much more damage. Yeah. Not that he would.
Yep.
But if you're going to have to lose something, he can't lose if you don't play.
I would be uncomfortable. I want to know how you feel, Andrew, giving the MVP to a quarterback of a team that's finishing, and we'll see how it plays out, in third place. Would that make you uncomfortable?
Not that division.
Okay.
I mean, the two teams ahead of the Rams right now are 12-4, and they're going to play Saturday for the number 1 seed. So, like, if I'm going to finish third place, we could talk about the best third place teams ever, but you have to include these Rams. who might be the best team in football and have just kind of been snake bitten in these primetime games, which they're not that good. Look at the totality of the body of work. I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
Because the amazing thing about the cool thing is it's a vote for the regular season, right? And I think as Drake progressed, I mean, I think 4 weeks ago Stafford was the favorite, but as you watch, you mentioned the primetime games, but as you watched him have the tough ending against Buffalo, where he said it was the elephant in the room, and then comes back and does what he does against Baltimore, and then did what he did precision-like to the Jets last week. I just think that you look at the regular season body of work only, that he wins the MVP. Now you go into the postseason, and pretty much every one of these teams, except for maybe Carolina, you look at them and they could make a run. Like any of these teams can make a run with their quarterback. Would it surprise you if Buffalo ended up in the Super Bowl?
No.
Would it surprise you if the Rams ended up in the Super Bowl, right? It's pretty cool.
DR, that's a great point.
Okay. AC, what do
that felt uncomfortable. I want that back.
All right, Andy.
He already has such an established nickname. That's the problem.
It's all right, Andy.
What was it? Ernie?
Yeah.
I just looked that up, by the way, for my 3
Did you
sons.
see the picture of him?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you look like as a kid, but I would have a hard time looking at this character.
Did you find him?
He
The
grows
glasses?
up to be you. Yeah.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, that's him.
I'll have to find him a picture of what
It's
I
not
was
you.
showing.
Barry Livingston. Dan Roach. Stand-ins
Looks
for
like
one
Rick Moranis from where I'm sitting.
Good doggy.
Ghostbusters. But no, you're right. Look, I think there's a conversation about would Drake May even be the third quarterback you would want going into the playoffs? Because I would have to put Matthew Stafford number one in this hypothetical draft of which quarterback do you want in the playoffs. Matthew Stafford's led a game-winning drive in the last few minutes of a Super Bowl. Okay, made guy, pelts on the wall. Drake May has nothing on his wall as far as the playoffs go. It's not a knock. It's just the reality. After that, Josh Allen has won some big games. We know he's not gotten to the Super Bowl, but 13 seconds in Kansas City, going back 4 or 5 years, wasn't his fault. And that's the MVP of the league until Drake gets the next one. So then, is Drake May third for you? Is he second? Is he fourth? Like, that's a different conversation. I have no doubts that he will thrive or at best be able to survive in a playoff atmosphere. It's just a matter of, to your point, these teams are so clustered together that if you have a bad day, a bad bounce, that could be it, no matter who you are.
I just think it's incredible. I mean, he hasn't. You correct me if I'm wrong. It just doesn't feel like he's played a bad game all year. In the Patriots, but the entire game. Bad halves, bad start in Cincinnati, bad stretches, but a bad game. I mean, they've had maybe the Raiders. Was that a bad game overall?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it was. Okay. And, Pittsburgh with the turnovers he had, because it's not just the totality of it, right? It's when do you have the turnovers like he did. I think it was in the fourth quarter with that fumble.
Yeah.
Tampa was rough there. Cincinnati, rough at the start. But you make enough plays and you have enough help around you that gets you across the finish line. Because let's fast forward. Ahead of next season, wherever they are, whatever happens this season, the case for the Patriots regressing will start with the schedule,
right?
And the number two will be their close games, right? So he gets a bump from, at some point, teams just get lucky in the way that the Patriots have been unlucky the last couple of years in close games, which are typically coin flips in the NFL. We all know what this is. You're tuning into the witching hour on Red Zone because you don't know what's going to happen from 3:30 to 4:30 because sometimes it can just go either way. The Patriots have got not a lot of bounces, but the point is for Drake May, those bad halves have not timed up in a way that it's cost them games. But they've been there if you want to look at them. It's just to your point, Mark, it's not been a start-to-finish stinker.
Yeah, and they're going to need – we're still learning about Drake May. We're going to learn a lot in the playoffs. I mean, that's obviously going to be – how important is the playoffs for Drake May from a big picture standpoint if he doesn't perform up to the level he's performed? Is that going to ruin this season?
No.
Okay. No. I mean, it's going to be a thing, though. I mean, you've got to do it then. You've done it all year. It hasn't been the hardest schedule. You got to do it then.
But it's still very early in his career.
Right, and you guys were talking about
first postseason.
No, I.
At what year did Peyton Manning win his first MVP? What year did Aaron Rodgers? 6?
Yeah.
Not to do it, but 6th, 7th year?
Oh, okay.
This is year 2 for a 23-year-old quarterback who's not made 30 career starts yet. I will forgive him if this year, next season, maybe even the year after that, if they don't win football games. So long as it's not a disaster, there's no ruining. Like, as soon as Sunday is over, the ink on the regular season is dry. He should be in the MVP, a 14-13 win season, because he is the driver and the engine of this. Nothing can touch that. To your point, though, what matters most? It's the playoffs. But the narrative is you saying we're starting to learn a lot more about him. He is so far ahead of schedule and is on track for unprecedented things. You have one screw up, as Peyton Manning often did, in the lead up to his great Hall of Fame career. I'm not going to punish you for that. You are so far ahead of schedule. It will matter. Of course it matters. But I look at him like I look at this season. It is a rousing success. Independent of what happens in the playoffs, which sounds insane. And especially on Boston Sports Radio, don't get me wrong. But that is going to be separate from what we've all seen. And what we've seen is a complete turnaround in record time.
And I think what makes it fun is we're going to find out now, and as they go about the next season, what have you. We were talking earlier about, like, we found out about Brady when John Madden said, go to overtime. Don't, take a knee, go to overtime. And Brady was precision-like in what he was able to do and set them up for the Vinatieri game-winning field goal. We're going to find out at some point there's going to be a moment in Drake May's career as to, okay, this is, he carried over the regular season into this, and now we see this, and now watch him mature, right? It might be some rough moments before that, but I think we all think that that's inside him, is to have that next level and to see what they
And
do.
if it's a shootout, let's play this out.
Yeah.
Because we know what their defense has been the last month, 6 weeks, and especially on the ground, where you lose control of the line of scrimmage, you lose control of the game. If it's a 31-28 loss, okay, Drake May takes the L in his Pro Football Reference page. He scored 4 touchdowns. 28 points should be enough.
Correct.
We should be able to have the nuance and the understanding of how well did he play versus how well did the team play.
No, if they lose, like the way Mahomes lost to the Patriots in that 2018 game, I'm talking about what I won't accept is if he doesn't look like himself at all. That's what would bother me. That would speak to me. If he went into a game, they lost, and Drake May just did not look like himself.
For
a full game.
Right? If he has a bad first
jittery,
quarter.
couldn't connect downfield, just didn't look like himself. That would be a bigger. Now, it wouldn't be the end. It wouldn't. It's not like that would ruin me in terms of Drake May or the season. I just think that would be a bigger thing than if they just shoot out, defense couldn't get a stop, red zone issues, and they lose. So we'll see. It's gonna be fun.
So you're saying like 30-6 loss, and you're like, what the hell just happened?
If it was a full game of what we saw, not a full game because that'd be really hard, but what we saw in the second half against Buffalo, couldn't get no rhythm, couldn't generate any momentum, looked out of sorts, looked uncomfortable. That would be a problem for me. I wouldn't take that well, but hopefully that doesn't. I don't think that's going to happen.
I almost forgot what that looks like.
Right?
I know.
It's great.
It's just so
great.
weird with the
All right,
23-year-old
we're going to
kid.
be back here more with Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald, Mark Dondero, Dan Roach, Toucher and Hardy, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Moving your home or business? Avoid the headache, time, and uncertainty.
as they go into the postseason against, a field that's pretty evenly matched and pretty unpredictable?
It's got to be the defensive line of scrimmage because you look at what decides games, and high up on that list, we get after the turnovers and explosive plays, like standard football stuff that every coach and player talks about after every game. Okay, nitty-gritty, let's get in there. They're a bad defensive short yardage team, meaning if this comes down to 3rd and goal, 4th and goal, more likely than not, we all know what the red zone defense is, what it is. The Bills, the Texans, whomever it is going to get in. The other piece about that, high on this list, is defensive pressure. How much and how well can you affect opposing quarterbacks? And right now, I get that Milton Williams is probably going to come back Sunday, and that is huge. We all get that. But even with Milton Williams, before he got hurt, their pressure rate started to go down unless they were blitzing. And I don't want to live in a world, if you're the Patriots, granted this is their roster talent, where I have to blitz to get pressure, because inevitably, just as we saw against the Jets, like Josh McDaniels had perfect answers for that, and I get it's the Jets. But you want to have your full menu is more my point. How do we get pressure? With 4 sim pressures, fake blitzes, real blitzes, all this different stuff. And I just feel like over time, they might not be able to get to a Josh Allen, maybe not even a Justin Herbert or a CJ Stroud as much as they need to. So what can Mike Vrabel do? What can Zach Core do to offset that? Because short yardage is what it is. It's just your bodies. But the pressure, they need to be able to turn up in big moments, because that's what's going to swing some of these games.
And we saw it, in big moments. We saw it in Tampa. They got pressure at a key time.
With a blitz.
Okay. So they're going to have to figure out. I'm just concerned if there's a glaring defensive weakness, whatever that may be, red zone or whatever it is, and they can't run the ball. The two things like that. Maybe the defense isn't terrible overall, but if there's a glaring defensive weakness and they're having trouble running the ball, that would concern me, and putting it all on Drake May. So I feel good overall. I'd like the defense to look a little bit more like they did earlier in the season. Milton Williams, I think, will obviously help with that, but they need to find a way to get back a little bit more to what they were.
You know what's amazing is that what you just said has held up for most of the season, and that this has been a bad running team. Or inconsistent, let's be kind.
Yeah.
But consistently, they're not very efficient. And defensively, this is a bottom 10 unit by DVOA, as well as they are running the football. So the whole reason for this sudden surge and resurgence has been Drake May. Like, it's been on his shoulders, which have been strong enough, even as a 23-year-old second-year passer, to carry the team. They've been good in spurts and here and there. Buffalo, first game around, defense came through, running the ball in certain spots. But it's not something you can rely on like the quarterback. So he's done it. And you were talking about what happens if he just suddenly gets so frazzled and it's 30-6 and they lose. To me, that would be a case of maybe the pressure, not of the moment, but of carrying that weight for so long finally gets to him. And then he goes, I got to put on the cape. And he's done such an amazing job of managing that and when to extend plays and when to take the right play, Dan, that I just think that pressure, that stage is where you start to feel that difference. As we saw, for example, at the start of his first game against Buffalo, where you're like, okay, the Sunday night lights are kind of getting to him. But that's a worst-case scenario. I think bottom line, though, it's going to be on his shoulders.
Yeah, I think so, too. But I also think that what I've liked about their running game of late, Ramondre Stevenson looks really good again.
Oh, looks like himself.
Yeah, that 21-yard touchdown run against Baltimore to seal it was classic stop-start. Like, that was, good stuff from him, and he feels good, and you can tell listening to him and the way he's talking that, he told me, he goes, I struggled early in the season for whatever reasons, but now he's kind of like untracked, and to see that, to add to that would be huge. And then on the other side of that, and again, I know people keep laughing at me, but getting Milton Williams back and then getting Spillane back in time for the postseason, like it or not, he's your leading tackler on the football team, and he can, and when, what I always watch, Andrew, and this is through my binoculars, the sidelines and what goes on, interactions. And I can't tell you how many times when they were going through giving up a touchdown or a field goal to start this opening drive, that they would come on, Vrabel and Spillane would meet with the tablet. And they would go over this. And then oftentimes Spillane would have a tough first couple series and then come out like a house on fire. Remember the second half? I can't remember against who. He came out like a house on fire, made every play, every tackle, had a pick. Everything that he did, I expect that to be there postseason. If they can get Williams healthy and Spillane healthy, I feel better about stopping the run.
It's a great point, because that you talk about baseball, right? Two baseball guys. They're strung up the middle.
Yes.
You got a good team.
Yep.
Where are the Patriots right now? Missing their defensive tackle, missing their middle linebacker, and some pieces around them. And the safeties have been like, okay, don't hear a lot from Craig Woodson. Jalen Hawkins gets a pick. which was a Zach Wilson to Devin McCourty special from back in the day. Just, we're
Right.
at MetLife and I owe you one. Like, there it goes. right along the sideline. But look, they'll come back. They'll make a difference. I trust Robert Spillane to be an impact player. It's just a matter of, again, those calls, whether it's pressure or whether it's a run blitz, which they did a lot against the Jets, and that helps them. And again, I get they're the Jets. But you need progress when they've been a down bad as they have been run defense-wise. And to see that on Sunday gives me hope going into this weekend when the Dolphins actually have a good run game. And this will be a real test for, with the guys back and with the improvement you just showed, is that real? Is this something you can carry into the playoffs?
This is why I have some hope. What was the run defense early in the first 6 weeks?
Oh, elite. Number one elite.
Almost maybe historically elite. I mean, it was ridiculous. And now it's got to a point where it's a problem. So I'd like to think, now Greg Bedard didn't think that Milton Williams would be a game changer. Fine. But I'd like to think that if they get those guys back, Spillane, they'll be able to at least be adequate. And that, I think, could be enough if they find a way to, Ramondre Stevenson, like you said, Rochi, running the ball really well. If they can find a way to be comparable, adequate, run the ball a little bit, play decent defense, running defense, and then Drake May be Drake May, then I'm feeling good. They've got to be able to get back to closer to that. I mean, they were so good earlier.
And there's another name we haven't even brought up, even though he's probably somewhere in your heart, Rochi, because I'll admit, my reporter's heart, there's a little space for this giant human being. Kyrus Tonga.
Yes.
When you're missing a 330-pound, 6'2" dude, I'm sorry, your run defense is going to suffer in addition to Milt Williams. So Milt Williams is a game changer. It's not perfect correlation because the Patriots' run defense started to crack the week before Milt Williams got hurt when they were in Tampa.
Right.
And this streak that we all suddenly cared about, they haven't allowed a 50-yard rusher in 9 weeks, 10 weeks, 11 weeks. Oh, my God. Open the record books. But once that was over, once he got hurt, then you started to see it go downhill. I'm just saying, I think it's like when you get a receiver who comes back and he's a number one guy. Everyone else, or let's say, this is a bad example now, but Tatum comes back. Jaylen Brown gets to going back to being 1B, even though he's been a 1A this season. Derek White gets to going back to being number 3. It resets the order where everyone should be in their roles. When Milt Williams and Kyrus Tonga come back, it's those two plus Christian Barmore. Corey Durden, hey, you get to play 15, 20 snaps a game. We don't need you. Leonard Taylor, who played a good game coming off the practice squad for them earlier this year. That guy doesn't have to be a big impact player that you're leaning on. It resets the depth chart in a way that everyone's asked to do the thing that they're capable of, not more. You're not overextended, and I think this run defense could be much, much better just with those two guys.
They get those guys back, and then you feel like you can get into your groove again. You tap into what you were doing a little bit more early on, and then you can try to reestablish some dominance at home, which they haven't been good enough at home dating back years. They were better this year. The Buffalo game rattled me. That'd be a huge moment to get a good playoff win at home. I think the playoff win, I know it's not going to ruin the season. I think a playoff win is an enormous step enormous.
Oh, yeah.
Get that under your belt, reestablish what you are. Get away from what happened in 2021, all of the above. 617-779-0985. Andrew Callahan is joining us. We're going to play two stats and a lie.
2 stats and a lie, baby.
Okay, that's coming up next. Toucher and Hardy. Mark Dondero, Dan Roach, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Last night in the NFL, the Los Angeles Rams fell in Atlanta to the now 7-9 Falcons, 27-24. Matthew Stafford, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a pick 6. And as a result, Drake May is now the betting favorite on DraftKings to win the MVP award in the NFL. Stafford has dropped to second. That was the good news for the Patriots. The bad news that the Chargers and their head coach Jim Harbaugh announced on Monday that his quarterback Justin Herbert will not play in their Week 18 game at Denver, which means the likelihood of a Broncos loss in New England securing the number 1 seed in the AFC took a massive hit. Patriots, meanwhile, are off today. They'll be back on the practice field on Wednesday ahead of their matchup with the Dolphins on Sunday in Foxborough. Nikola Jokic, who leads the NBA in assists and rebounds, went down last night during Denver's game with the Heat with what the Nuggets are calling a knee injury. He'll get an MRI today to confirm the severity of the injury. Celtics back on the floor tonight. They'll play the Jazz in Utah, 9 p.m. tip. You can hear that game radio on 98.5 The Sports Hub. John Wallach and Cedric Maxwell will be on the call. Bruins fell to the Flames last night by the score of 2-1 in overtime. Andrew Peak had the tally for Boston. World Juniors, James Hagan scored twice for the Americans as Team USA came back to beat Slovakia 6-5 and remain undefeated. Next up for the United States will be a date with Sweden on New Year's Eve. And finally, according to sources, Northwestern is set to hire former Raiders OC Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by DN Van Lines. Take the chance out of your move and make the sure bet with DN Van Lines, an approved mover of the Department of Defense. DNVanlines.com. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Next update around 30 minutes.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
I'm telling them now, Nelson. When it
stadium will be rocking.
God, Patriots do whatever they want.
On your home of postseason New England Patriots football, 98.5, the Sports Hub. Hey, listen, if you've got to go, we understand, but make sure you bring the Sports Hub app with you so you can hear more of Todger and Hardy
That's what I want on my tombstone.
on the Sports Hub.
Let's do this. It takes 2 steps from the other night. And one might see if you can get it right. It takes 2 steps from the other night. And one might see if you can get it right.
All right, back here, Toucher and Hardy, Mark Dondero, Dan Roach, Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald, and it is time for 2 stats and a lie. Let's play.
We have an interruption.
What?
You.
Oh.
You have a 2 stats and a lie.
Oh, yeah, but I'll do it after you.
You sure?
Yeah.
You always want to go first.
Oh, you want me to go first?
I think you should be the opener.
Is that all right?
Yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
Dan Roach, 2 stats and a lie.
Jumping in.
Putting us to
Here
the
we go.
test.
2 stats, 1 lie. All right, first question, or first answer. At age 23, Drake May would be the youngest quarterback ever to win the NFL MVP. Okay? At age 23, Drake May would be the youngest quarterback ever to win the NFL MVP. Next, Mike Vrabel had more passes defensed in the postseason than touchdown receptions in the Super Bowl. Mike Vrabel had more passes defensed than touchdown receptions in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Or in the postseason. You can say postseason.
Well,
Okay.
Dan, which is it?
I'll make it the big one. Postseason.
Okay.
He had more passes defensed than touchdowns receptions in the postseason.
Okay.
The third one is Drake May has 8 interceptions this year. He has more interceptions this year than Tom Brady had in his 10 Super Bowl appearances. Got it? Drake May with 8 interceptions has more interceptions this year than Tom Brady had in his 10 Super Bowl appearances.
All right, Mark, you want to lead off?
Yeah. So I tell you which one I think is the lie?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you need to talk it out, we can do it.
Well, I think so. The TD receptions, I think Vrabel, I don't really remember. The only pass I really remember him defending was he had an interception. I think it was in overtime in a game against Houston in 2003. I'm sure there was more. That was the one that sticks out in my mind. So I'm going to say that the TD receptions, he has more touchdown receptions than passes defensed. So I don't think that's the lie. 8 interceptions is more. I don't remember Brady having 8 Super Bowl interceptions. I'm going to say the lie is 23. He'd be the youngest QB to win it.
Andrew?
Dan, I'm so glad I had you go first.
Why? Did I take one of your questions?
You did.
Did I really?
Number 1 is the lie, because number 1 was my lie.
Oh, wow.
What? You had the exact same question?
We did.
Wow.
We did.
Tell him the answer.
Lamar Jackson
Yes.
won this at 22 just a couple of years ago.
Okay.
That was so good. That's incredible.
All right.
Wow.
So
And-
now I've just come up with the backup.
But
which
the youngest player ever was Jim Brown
Jim Brown.
at 21.
So I don't know what the ending music in here is, Ryan, but we just
Yeah.
reached the end. Mark and I are correct. If
Yes.
Drake May wins, or you take it from here. You're the host. I'm stepping
Drake,
on your toes.
if Drake May wins, he'd be the youngest. Wouldn't be the youngest quarterback ever to win the NFL MVP. That would be Lamar Jackson. Mike Vrabel had more passes defensed in his postseason career. He had 3. He had touchdowns, 2 touchdown receptions in the postseason.
Okay. So wait a minute. I thought you said he had more touchdown receptions than passes defensed.
No.
Oh, okay. So I actually.
Well, and here's the tell. Once you said, or it could be the postseason.
Yes.
Oh,
A
okay.
lot more games gives Mike Vrabel a lot more chance
Yes.
to
Yeah.
break up more passes, which we know he caught touchdowns, but not as many passes as
Yep.
he instead
Okay.
put on the ground.
And Drake May 8 interceptions. 8.
Two stats, but only one lie. Andrew Callahan is here with 2 stats and 1 lie.
Drake May has 8 interceptions this year. Tom Brady had 7
In the
over
Super
his,
Bowl?
Super Bowl.
7
career.
Super Bowls.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, first of all, round of applause for my guy Danny. That was not
Last
easy.
second.
You did this in the break.
Yes.
So the fact that you and I shared a brain on this is a
That's
real
awesome.
problem
I
for
can't
you. I'm
believe
glad
that.
you did it.
Even though I looked over your shoulder.
That was well done. The reflection of my glasses gives it away every
That's
time.
unreal.
All right,
Just
here we
like
go.
when
You
I tell
ready?
my wife I'm not scrolling and she says Twitter is on your face. Like, yeah. All right, we ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 1. Mike Vrabel has lost more games than challenges this season. Number 1. Mike Vrabel has lost more games than challenges this season. Number 2. The Patriots now have more AFC East titles than the Bills, Dolphins, and Jets combined. Number 2. The Patriots now have more division titles than the Bills, Dolphins, and Jets combined. Number 3. The last time the Patriots swept their season series with Miami, which they could do Sunday, Barack Obama was in office. The last time the Patriots swept their season series with Miami, Barack Obama was in office in the White House. Goes without saying. But a little extra emphasis there.
So say him again.
Okay.
So 1, 2, and 3. Mike Vrabel has lost more games than challenges this season. Number 2, the Patriots now have more division AFC East titles than the Bills, Dolphins, and Jets combined. Number 3, the last time the Patriots swept their season series with Miami, which they could do Sunday, Barack Obama was in the White House.
What do you think?
So I know I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure Vrabel lost 2 challenges this year. I don't know that, so I'm going to say that one is not the lie. And I'm kicking my own tail right now because I literally 2 days ago I saw the graphic. I know the Jets.
They said it on the broadcast.
The Jets have 4 division titles in the AFC East. The Bills have like 15. I can't remember what the Dolphins have. Damn it. I'm going to say that is the lie. The Patriots do not have more division titles than the Dolphins, Jets, and Bills combined. That's the lie.
Okay. And Obama?
Obama.
Left office
Because they've been dominated by Tua.
2017.
Tua's had their number.
Did he leave office before they played that last game?
Which last game?
Dolphins.
That last game would have been any regular season finale.
He didn't leave till the 19th.
Is the
or
first
whatever,
week
right?
of
Yeah.
January.
Yes. I'm gonna agree with Mark on that one because I know from the game the other day because we were writing stuff down and everything like that that the Patriots are 4-6. Vrabel's 4-6 now in challenges, right? So they've lost more games than they've won lost challenges. No, they've lost. Wait a second.
Yeah.
No, what? How did
He's
you
got
phrase it?
Freditis now.
Yes, I know. I do have Freditis. I'm going to say that's true. But number 1 is true.
All right, so number 1 is true.
I'm going to say number
you both
3.
agree the Patriots.
I don't know presidencies and everything else and dates. I'm going to say number 3 is true.
Well, that'd be 2016,
And
right?
I'm going to say number 2 is.
So it'd have to be back before 2016 when they swept Miami.
All right. So I'm going to say that. Number 2.
Number 2.
2.
You are, drum roll, both correct.
Let's go!
Number 2 was the lie. This was the backup I pulled because you
Which
and
one?
I
Oh, that
screwed
number
each
2?
other over. And the Patriots have 23 division titles. The Bills are at 15. The Jets do have 4. But the Dolphins, as I look this up again, were somewhere close to 12. So it's not close.
Yes.
Okay. The Patriots do have more than each of them, more than the Bills and Jets combined, more than the Dolphins and Jets combined. But you throw them all together, the Patriots do not have more AFC East titles than the rest of the division. Mike Vrabel has lost just 2 challenges. Patriots have lost 3 games.
Thank you.
The last time the Patriots swept their season series with Miami, it was just before Obama left office. It was the 2016 season. Obama left weeks later. Great question, Danny. It was remember the Michael Floyd block?
The block
that he threw
for
that
Edelman.
registered on the
Yes,
Richter scale in
yes.
South Florida. He gives a long touchdown. They win. They get the number 1 seed in the 2016 season. That was the last time the Patriots swept the Dolphins in a season series.
Wow.
And they could do it Sunday.
What are they favored by this week? Do you know?
9.5.
9.5.
The lines this week, though, are nuts. Because no one knows who cares, who's going to play, who's benched, yada.
Man.
So if you feel strongly, I'd say get that ticket in now before it changes.
Okay. So 2 stats and a lie. Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald.
You know what I believe?
Andrew's got 2 stats, but he only has one no good stinking lie. Andrew's got 2 stats, but has only one lie. Who will guess correctly?
Who's on the vocals for all of these?
Oh, Nick Gemelli.
Nick Gemelli,
okay.
Nick Gemelli is just outstanding.
As we say goodbye, a question to you. I said this to Mark earlier, and I know we're up against the break.
Yeah.
Do you think it's got to be a Pats fan out there? I'd love for them to call that has made a bet preseason for either the Patriots to win the Super Bowl, win the AFC, win the AFC East, May MVP, Vrabel Coach of the Year or something when they were having fun out in Vegas. Even like $10 or $20, whatever. And I want to know what the odds were and if they have something like that in their possession.
Yeah, I think it's Bob Sosi, and I think he's going to buy out Bigelow T.
And there you go. I love it. Right.
Billionaire Bob.
That's great.
I love it.
Clanking glasses with Bezos and Zuckerberg, and there's Sosi.
That's him. Quiet.
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, you could do it in your phone, which is
it wasn't. You don't have to be in Vegas.
That's right. That's how lame I am. But in person would be really cool. Just sitting there saying, "I'm going to do this," because I know my son-in-law gave his groomsmen bets before, like different things, for futures,
like tickets.
Tickets
as a thank you gift.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
That's a
And
great
I think
idea.
They hit one so far.
Did you give gifts back in your day? Not to be
I got
ageist.
married in 1992.
Yeah.
I was working Red Sox pre- and post-game shows, so somebody has a Tom Brunansky signed ball. Somebody has a Jeff Reardon signed ball.
Jody Reed.
Yeah, exactly. So
How
was
about that?
my
I
gift.
did bobbleheads.
Did you really?
Customized bobbleheads of each guy. Plus
Oh,
a couple
that's
other
cool.
small things. Yeah.
I like that.
But bobblehead was the lead.
bobbleheads.
Customized
That was a
bobbleheads.
good idea.
You don't look like he gave you guys anything.
Plus a
Ties.
little booze. Ties?
Oh, did you really?
It was bad.
That's
You
like-
know what, though? This is one of those things that becomes
I had
just
no
for
money.
Instagram.
Yeah.
What did you get? What did you get?
Yeah.
What do you got to show? I'm like,
I
And
know.
it's a nice tie. It's a golf tie, easy to kind of do the knot. So, but it could have been more creative. I'm not proud
It's
of the
okay.
ties, but I did give the groomsmen a free round of golf. People,
Very
the
cool.
week
Yes.
of the wedding, so that was good.
Good.
Okay. All right, Andrew. Thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Looking
See you
forward to the show
man.
tomorrow.
It's gonna be a great
New
show.
Year's
See
Eve,
you
that's
tomorrow.
right. All right. Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald, Mark Dundare, Dan Roach, Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Men.
But now, we're going to continue the games. Rochi's got something for us, and he's going to explain it right now.
Yeah,
Rochi?
we got some things in the stack that you and I can touch upon,
Okay.
too, when we're
Yep.
done, right? We got Mike coming up, too, so why not have a little bit of fun? It's the end of the year, Mark.
Let's do it.
Right? So we're just going to play a very simple game here. I was sitting there thinking about it last night, and I'm going to play a game. What year was this?
Ooh.
And I'm going to give you an event in all four, one of each of the Boston sports teams.
Okay.
All right? So that's simple. You just tell me what year it was, and we'll be good. Okay?
Love it.
We'll start with the Patriots. This was, you'll get this right away. Patriots 17, Titans 14. Coldest game in Pat's playoff history. It was 4 degrees with a -10 wind chill at kickoff. Adam Vinatieri with a 46-yard field goal with 4 minutes to go to win it. The number one song of that month, that year, was No One by Alicia Keys. Yes.
Yep.
Nicely done there, Ryan. Thank you. And the number one movie that month was I Am Legend with Will Smith.
I Am Legend. Okay, so let me just make sure I don't get it confused. That was a divisional round playoff game. I'm just trying to think. That year was it was January of 2004. That game was played. 2003 season.
Yes.
Thank you. So it was because
I had a brain fart for a second.
January
I was like,
2004, but it was the 2003 season divisional round.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that was good. Nicely done. All right, I just want to make sure on that one. Good. All right, the next one. You ready? We'll go Bruins. January 1st of what year? Bruins 2, Flyers 1. Your Boston Bruins head coach had the game-winning goal, Marco Sturm. The number one song was TikTok.
Okay.
I love this. Thank you, Ryan.
Kesha.
And the number one movie was Avatar.
January 1st, 2010.
Bingo.
Bang.
Nicely done.
I thought it was 2010. It was the Fenway game.
Yes.
And I thought it was the Kesha one. I put it over the top. I just gotten down to Dalton, Georgia, and that song was December 2009. I got down to Dalton, Georgia. That song was nonstop
Everywhere?
on the radio. Nonstop.
Gotcha. Yep.
Like P. Diddy. Freak. But
yeah,
okay.
so that was January 2010, January 1st. So 2009 would have been your,
was
listen
January
to those
1st,
songs.
2010.
Yeah,
Right,
so
yeah,
that was
right.
the tough part of that one.
Right.
All right, so that was good.
Yep.
Now we go to the Celtics.
Okay.
And this is a little different twist.
Okay.
This popular Celtic was born on January 1st of this year. The number one song was Say You, Say Me by Lionel Richie.
Great song.
The number one movie was Back to the Future, which we all know and love.
Yeah.
This player played for the Celtics for 4 seasons and won 1 ring.
Okay. So let me think. 1 ring. Popular Celtic, 4 seasons. I have no idea.
Won a ring in 2008.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is a guess. I'm gonna say 1988.
1986.
All right.
Big baby Glenn Davis.
Oh, big
was
old baby.
The player that was born on January 1st, 1986.
Popular player, well said.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew
Yep.
it was 80. I couldn't remember when
That
that,
was good,
song
though.
came up. Yep.
I'll give you a nice bid.
All right.
All right, and the last one, I'm going to give you 2 because it was kind of like the Red Sox, it's off season, it's
Okay.
tough. So what year was it? It was December 26th, the date.
This is 2 years, one guy. To play off the last game.
2 years, one
I thought
guy.
it was funny.
Oh, 2 years, one guy. Oh, yeah. So, first one, though. Owner Harry Frazee sells Babe Ruth to the Yankees for cash and needed to fund the play No Nanette. What year was that?
That was 1919, wasn't
Bingo.
it? Yeah.
Yes, I like that one. And the second part of this one, on this date in what year the Red Sox failed to send Carlton Fisk and Fred Lynn their contracts. They were mailed December 22nd instead of the deadline of December 20th by Haywood Sullivan, part owner and GM. Fisk went on to sign a 5-year, $2.9 million deal with the Chicago White Sox. Fred Lynn signed a 4-year deal between $4 and $5 million with the Angels. The number one song in this year of December of that year was Just Like Starting Over by John Lennon. The number one movie in that month was 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton, Jane Fonda, and Lily Tomlin.
So I am the 70s. I'm not good at the 70s. I don't like 70s music. I don't know anything about the movies. It was a lost decade for me.
Then
I
you
wasn't
can't
alive.
go wrong if you're not good at the 70s. That'll be my next hint. Okay?
1981.
Nope. 1980.
Oh! Okay. That was close.
And to this day, it still burns me about Fisk, but more so about Fred Lynn. Would have been a Hall of Famer. He'd be in Cooperstown.
What happened?
If he had stayed. They failed to send a tender, a contract.
But why would he be in Cooperstown had he stayed? Where'd he go?
Because Fenway Park was built for him.
Oh, okay.
And he went to the Angels. He was still good.
Yeah.
But just the way that he hit at Fenway Park was like, that first year, 75, was American League MVP and Rookie of the Year.
Jeez.
His numbers were incredible at Fenway Park.
Smooth outfielder,
And Fred says
too.
the same thing. If you ask him, he says there's no doubt in his mind he would be in Cooperstown if he had stayed in Fenway Park his entire career.
When I never saw him play or remember him playing, but when I used to play outfield, my dad always used to refer to him how smooth he was running after the balls.
He's what you hope Anthony can become.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was fun. The music element was a nice little touch because some of them I needed the boost there. I was going to say 1980, and I just damn it. Okay.
We'll take a break and come back, and we have Mark.
What time do we have? A little bit more time?
I mean,
Can we
should
play
probably
Take Your
break
Pick?
now.
You want a break? All right.
Yeah.
We'll take a break, and then we'll go and Mike Cadlick will join us on the other side. Mark Dendare, Dan Roach, Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
Moving your home or business? Avoid the head.
And the 2007-2008 Celtics. That was Baby Davis and that team, big talking points on the old Locon and the Dawn radio show from the beat of Bryant back in college.
Wow.
We were going all in on that team. Legendary stuff.
How about that from Vrabel, though, back in January?
How it's played out
Mike
is
Stradamus.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And somebody that has been following all of it unfold is Mike Cadlick, who is joining us now. Mike Cadlick from SI and CLNS. Mike, it's good to be with you again. Mark and Dan on Toucher and Hardy. How are you?
I'm good, my friends. How we doing? Yeah, I know it. That, like you said, Rochi, the Mike Stradamus, he really called that out pretty good, huh? And sitting there that day in January at that intro press conference, it felt far-fetched. It felt like he did have a plan, but realistically, you never thought that we'd be sitting here on December 30th actually watching the Patriots win the AFC East. So crazy stuff, and good to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
What's been, Mike, the most surprising aspect of this entire turnaround for you? I've been asking people, because there's a lot of things that we thought maybe one thing back in August, but so much has happened. So many things have been accomplished since then. What's been most surprising based on what you've seen?
Mark, I think the obvious answer is Drake May, so I'll steer away from that for a second. I think we all knew that he'd be pretty good. I don't think we all thought he'd be this good. The odds-on favorite to win MVP, but I just think the way they play and the identity and the culture Vrabel's been able to, I guess, conjure up this quickly. I feel like we always knew that eventually this would be a hard-nosed football team that rallies to the football and fights through the whistle and does all of that stuff and takes advantage of bad football. But I don't know if I knew or thought that it was going to happen this quickly, right? Because I think they still had a lot of bad football in them that they had to get out of them first. But the transition that they've been able to accomplish here from the last regime to this one and how fast they've done it has been incredible. And I think, again, that identity, right? He said we're going to build an identity, and they play with that every single week. And you look at the way they clinched the Baltimore game a couple weeks ago. It's Caleb Chase on playing through the whistle, forcing a fumble, and clinching that game. And then even last week, you saw in a rout of the Jets late in the fourth quarter, it doesn't matter. You have 5, 6, 7 guys rallying to the football, making tackles. And it sounds super cliche, again, play through the whistle and play as 11 guys in one unit. But they really do that, and they do it every single week. And I think that's been what I would say is the most surprising.
I don't know of many teams that, especially in that first year where they get a new head coach, I don't recall seeing that go that quickly into what they were doing. Sometimes it takes 2 years, maybe 3 years, minimum for that everything to come true. But everything that he's talked about has pretty much come true. And then the players started buying in and saw it come true on the football field. And it just kept evolving and growing and into all these different types of things, even injuries or no injuries. That's what I think we all said. They'd be lucky to get, 8, 9, 10 wins if they stayed healthy, 100% healthy.
And Rochi, on that,
created depth.
They've created that, and I also think too the ability to turn that culture around so quickly. I think a lot has to do with the free agent class they were able to bring in and guys that have already played under Vrabel and company before, right? I know Carlton Davis played with Terrell Williams in Detroit, but you have Jack Gibbons, you have Robert Spillane, you have Harold Landry. So these leaders and the top guys, the North Stars, if you will, that you look at in the locker room, have already done this before under a similar regime. So there was no real buffer period, right? It was almost like, this is how we do it. This is how we're going to go about it. And then obviously when you have an MVP caliber quarterback on the offensive side of the ball and a coordinator that's won 6 Super Bowls, that helps as well. But just the culture shift, I think we may be underestimating a bit just how important, not just the play style of the free agency class was, but also the fact that they've done this before under these same coaches.
What is your big concern heading into the playoffs? Obviously, it's not a perfect team. No team is. If you had to pinpoint, Mike, one area that gives you the greatest concern, what would that be?
Yeah, I still think it's the defense, and I think it's specifically the run defense because they started out this season as the best run defense bar none in football, giving up like 80-something yards a game over the first month and a half, 2 months, and then all of a sudden the dam is broke a bit there, and some of that has to do with injuries. They're supposed to get Milton Williams back this week, which is promising. Robert Spillane hopefully comes back soon down the middle of the field there, but the last couple weeks they've let up 100 plus, and I think 3 or 4 straight games now. And even in the 45-10 throttling of the Jets, they still allowed them to get 100 plus on the ground. So when it comes down to it in the postseason, teams want to run the football. They want to rely on, grinding it out and grounding it out for possession after possession. And I think if you run into a Buffalo team with James Cook, or even a Houston team that has a solid stable of running backs, and then obviously an elite defense on the other side, that might be a challenge if you want to take that offense off the field.
And I think that's the interesting part, right? About who. So they're going to try to play for the number 1 seed. Denver. We know what's happening. The Chargers are going to sit Herbert, and Trey Lance will be the starting quarterback for them. But man, now you sit here, let's say they're the second seed. Who do you want to play in that first round when it comes to specifically a running game, right? You're afraid, you know what Cook can do. Woody Marks in Houston, they're going to grind it out. That's a tough battle. And then, is it Omari and Hampton or for the Chargers? What do you think as you sit here, Mike and Mark, as you sit here and look at one of those 3 teams that they're going to play in round 1 if everything stays the same?
I look at the wild card, those teams, right? And honestly, with how early it is in this Patriots regime, we're already ahead of schedule. I think you just wait and see who comes, right? And it doesn't really matter necessarily. And I feel like the East, or the AFC rather, this season is so wide open that it almost doesn't really matter who you draw. Now, looking at those 3 teams specifically, however, I think Houston's defense is by far the scariest. Those guys are lethal. You saw the fits they gave LA last Saturday. And then Buffalo, having to play them a 3rd time this season would be a struggle as well. Now you have them back here in Foxborough, which is promising, even though the Pats were road warriors this season, 8-0. But I think the Chargers is probably the team that I'd be the least scared of, if you will, if you're the Patriots, just given we've seen, again, I think Justin Herbert's one of the better quarterbacks in the entire sport, but we've seen him struggle in the postseason. They're super banged up. That offensive line is missing its top 2 tackles, and you saw Justin Herbert was under siege last week. And I think if you're talking about a Patriots defensive front that's A, banged up, and B, hasn't been playing their best football of late, at least trying to get after the passer, they could give that team fits potentially on the defensive side of the ball. So I think LA is probably your best draw. Then Buffalo, and then Houston, I really want no part of. That team is humming right now. That defense is elite, and CJ Stroud is playing some of the best football you'd see out there.
Let me just ask that question a little differently, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even know, Mike, if Lamar Jackson is going to play this weekend. In fact, I don't think he's going to play. If you want,
I don't either.
But if he does, let's just say he does, and they win. Who would you be less interested in facing again, the Ravens or the Bills in a playoff situation?
Lamar's healthy?
Yeah. He's playing well. He's healthy. They get in.
Man, that's a good one, Mark. I think probably I would rather see Buffalo. I don't want to see Baltimore with a healthy Lamar. And I know that's few and far between here with Lamar. He's missed practice, I think, every week since he got into the league. He hasn't he's not always out there for them, and it's been back and forth. But if you have a fully healthy Lamar Jackson, I think that's terrifying, given the fact that you don't know that team as well as you know Buffalo. You saw that you can beat Buffalo at full strength in week 5 on the road as well. This Baltimore team had your number really until Lamar went out a couple weeks ago, and then you were able to mount that awesome comeback. But yeah, Baltimore scares me a bit more. I think Buffalo's just having a down year, and you saw it last Sunday as well against the Eagles, at home in a spot where they needed a win to keep themselves alive, and they couldn't do it. Now, they've mounted comebacks this season a handful of times. You saw it against the Patriots earlier this month. You've seen it a few times here now, and they did it again down 13 and gave themselves a chance. But the fact that they went into that 4th quarter with 0 points scored tells me that they're not humming like they should be and like they have in the past. So I think I would rather play Baltimore for the Patriots, or rather play Buffalo. Excuse me.
Well, again, it's going to be interesting to just watch unfold here. And the one thing I think I don't know how you guys feel, but I think no matter who they play, they're not going to be outcoached, right? They're going to come in with a game plan. They're going to come in with, we go back to what Will Downing said earlier in the season about Vrabel having an idea of, if you do these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, you will win this football game. just to watch it all come unfolded, especially at home in that first round playoff game, it's going to be fun. I mean, it's just like I don't know. I have a hard time. But again, I think it's wide open. We've talked about that. But I think everything is as lined up and added up to them playing really well in the postseason. Everything that they put in together as a group. Now, question is, talent-wise, turnovers and everything else, it'll be interesting to watch. But again, if you're sitting there watching it from afar and watched it all season long and been with them, it's like they'll feel supremely confident heading into that first playoff game, no matter who they play. Right?
And Rochi, I think that's the best part of this season. If you're a Patriots fan, right, is it's all kind of lining up the way that it almost feels like a team of destiny. And I was a little bit too young to understand exactly what was going on in 2001 with Brady's second season and a young defensive coach and a team that has an identity. But it almost feels similar to that. And now you have Drake May potentially winning MVP because Stafford put up a dud last night. And the fact that the AFC playoffs now, it doesn't have Joe Burrow, it doesn't have Patrick Mahomes, it has a down Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson that's banged up. Like, the entire AFC conference is super wide open. I truly think that any of the 7 teams that make it are viable to get through the gauntlet and get to the Super Bowl. And then on the opposite side, yes, the NFC is obviously stacked, although LA looks down last night. San Francisco, Seattle, those teams are elite, but you only have to play those guys once, where in the AFC, or the NFC rather, you got to get through a gauntlet. The Patriots don't have that on this side, and then you got to go and play just one game on a Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, if you had to. And as we know, it's cliche, but you can beat anybody in this league once, and I think it does. It sets up super favorable for them. Now, if they go and they lose in Wild Card Weekend, is that a season of failure? I still don't think so. I think they're kind of playing with house money at this point, but when you look at it, in a vacuum, this has been really just an unbelievable turnaround and something I don't think anybody saw. And now with a true chance to compete for and potentially win a Super Bowl, I don't think you can't ask for much more from what we've seen from them so far.
See, I don't necessarily agree. I think the AFC isn't that far behind the NFC in terms of the teams that you're going to see. It might not matter that either conference could win the Super Bowl. And the NFC has great teams, especially out west. But then I'm talking about Sam Darnold. I'm talking about Brock Purdy,
right,
who have had good years. They're good, but I still don't believe in them fully, especially Darnold. Green Bay hasn't looked quite. I mean, obviously they lost Micah Parsons. That hurts. They haven't looked as good. Philly is still seeing. We don't know for sure if they figured it out. I think. Kind of, maybe, I don't know.
Sure.
So we'll see what the Chargers, the Broncos, the Jaguars, the Texans. It's strong. I mean, we'll see what happens in the North, and then obviously the Bills and Patriots. I wanted to ask you, Mike, about the MVP. Not what do you think should happen or who should win the MVP. What do you think the voters will do? What do you think the voters will say when they cast their ballots for the award?
So I think going into last night, Mark, I feel like the storyline, the narrative around Stafford, right? The lifetime achievement. He's 37 years old. He had a back injury in the offseason, and he comes in here, and with him and McVay lighting up the NFC the way they have, I think the voters were going to go that way if Stafford could just play even-keel football through the rest of the season, frankly, win or lose. But last night, on the national stage, he threw up a dud. He threw 3 picks. The team lost because of him. And you look at the final drive as well. He missed a wide open receiver on the sideline. If he catches that, they go in, potentially tie it, potentially take the lead and win the game. And that would have added to his resume. But the way he played last night, the fact that it is a storyline driven award just as much as it is, along the lines of the quote unquote most valuable player. Now you compare storylines and you see Stafford throwing up a dud, and they're a wild card team. Drake May now, the last time he played on a national stage, he had a signature comeback win against the Baltimore Ravens. Drake May is a storyline, I guess like a central figure of the NFL right now, and Matthew Stafford has kind of dwindled down the last couple weeks. So I think the voters going into last night would have went with Stafford. I think they're going to have a hard time convincing themselves that they still should after what he did last night and after seeing Drake May throw for 5 touchdowns and have one of the best quarterback performances we've ever seen against the Jets.
I think and I think it just kind of played itself out more than anything logically, right? Whether you're here in this region, whether you're around the country, if you just sat and watched the last month of football when Stafford was the favorite then, to just watch the way it played out with Drake and the little hiccup against Buffalo and the comeback and the win against the Ravens and then the 5 precision-like touchdowns, it just sets up naturally with what happened with Stafford last night. I don't know how much, if anything, could happen in week 18 that could change the voters' mind. So to me, it's
I think
cut.
And you look at too how they might attack this, the Patriots. I feel like May might only play a half on Sunday, and I think the only thing at this point that can stop him from winning it is if he somehow, some way, throws 3 interceptions and leads them to a loss against the Dolphins, and I just don't see that happening.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think right now it's his award to have.
The last thing I want to say is I just think the playoffs. We've been talking about the playoffs, and people talking about 0-1 and the run. Remember, you might need a break somewhere along the lines here as far as the playoffs are concerned. Some ball bounces your way, a turnover, especially. That's kind of the cool part about not knowing what's going to happen and how it unfolds. Remember, we all go back to the Snow Bowl and what happened and just how that unfolded and changed Patriots history. Be curious to see what happens on this journey as they get ready for the postseason. A team that's ready in all phases should be healthier and goes up against, no matter who they play, has a legitimate shot to beat them.
Yeah, and just on the MVP, I still the third place thing to me means something. I know it's a tougher division. We'll see how it all plays out after Week 18. But if the Rams finish in third place, I'm just uncomfortable giving the MVP to a third place. I don't care. I don't care about the division. It's a good better division. Still, it's tough. All right, Mike Kadlick, SI, CLNS. Always good to catch up with you. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it. Happy New Year. Talk to you soon.
Same to you.
Do we have time when we get back to play a little take your pick or what?
Oh, we can do a rapid fire if you want.
Rapid fire, take your pick when we get back. Toucher and Hardy, Mark Dondero, Dan Roach, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Last night in the NFL, the Rams fell in Atlanta to the now 7-9 Falcons, 27-24. Matt Stafford, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions, 1 pick six. And as a result, Drake May is now the betting favorite on DraftKings to win the NFL MVP award with 1 week to go. Stafford has dropped to second in the odds. That's the good news for the Patriots. The bad news is that the Chargers and their head coach Jim Harbaugh announced on Monday that quarterback Justin Herbert will not play in their Week 18 game at Denver, which means the likelihood of a Broncos loss in New England securing the number 1 seed in the AFC took a massive hit. Speaking of Denver, Nikola Jokic, who leads the NBA in assists and rebounds, went down last night during Denver's game with the Heat and what the Nuggets are calling a knee injury. He'll get an MRI today to confirm the severity of the injury. Celtics will be back on the floor tonight in Utah, 9 p.m. tip. You can hear the game right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. John Wallach, Cedric Maxwell on the call. The Bruins, they fell to the Flames last night, 2-1 the score in overtime. Andrew Peeke had the tally for Boston. World Juniors, James Hagan scored twice for the Americans. His Team USA came back to beat Slovakia 6-5, remaining undefeated. Next up for the U.S. will be a date with Sweden on New Year's Eve. And finally, according to sources, Northwestern is set to hire former Raiders OC Chip Kelly to be their offensive coordinator. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Oakers Technologies. The Hauser family would like to thank their team and customers. Get your school or business future ready for 2026 by visiting Okers.com. Happy New Year from Okers, proud partner of your New England Patriots. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Next update around 10 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Ready?
It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
We're back here, Toucher and Hardy, Mark Dondero, Dan Roach, 98.5. We got some news on the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Roachy.
Yeah, within this hour, the Pro Football Hall of Fame put out the 2026 finalists of players to try to achieve that Hall of Fame dream. And the bad news is both Rodney Harrison and Vince Wilfork, former Patriots, did not make it. Did not make the cut out of being on this after being on the semifinalist list. The good news is Adam Vinatieri is on the finalist list, and he's got to get in. It's just a matter of time for the best kicker in the history of the game. And then, of course, you have in the contributors and coaches and what have you, the other part, Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick. So there's your Patriots feel for what you have as far as the Hall of Fame possibilities are concerned. Among the 26 finalists this year, quarterback Drew Brees, wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald, running back Frank Gore, wide receiver Torrey Holt, Luke Kuechly, the former BC linebacker who had 6,000 tackles a season, it felt like, Eli Manning, along with Vinatieri, all part of it too, Terrell Suggs, as well as Jason Witten, Darren Woodson, Marshall Yanda, those type of players all amongst the finalists for the Hall of Fame.
I think it's absolute madness that Rodney Harrison is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I hate it. It's ridiculous. Okay, this guy, if you compare him to John Lynch, and no disrespect to John Lynch, he was a fine player, whatever. Harrison is the only guy that has 30 sacks and 30 interceptions other than Ray Lewis. Maybe Ray Lewis could be a Mount Rushmore defensive player of all time in the NFL, maybe. Okay, and he joins Ray Lewis in that club, and just the two of them. Okay, he's got 2 Super Bowls to John Lynch's 1 Super Bowl. Okay, the Pro Bowls, I don't care about the Pro Bowls, but Lynch has 9, Harrison has 2, but it's 3 versus 4 in all pros. Harrison has 3, Lynch has 4. He's got 2 touchdowns. Lynch has none. He's got way more tackles in, by the way, a lot fewer games. 224 games for John Lynch, 186 games for Rodney Harrison. And he's got the moments, Rochi. He's got the interception, the pick 6 in the AFC Championship game. He's got the pick in the divisional round, whatever game that was against the Colts, Peyton Manning. He's got these playoff moments, these big-time plays that he made on the biggest stage. And he was arguably one of the faces of one of the greatest defenses of his era, a team that was a dynasty that was known for their defense. It is a travesty that he is not in the Hall of Fame. It's asinine, it's ridiculous, and everybody that didn't vote for him can go shove off. It's stupid. It's a joke.
I don't disagree with anything you said right there, especially for a guy like Harrison. And the way he played the game, the nastiness, the passion, the fever. He did everything that you wanted to see. And he had half his career in San Diego and then back with the Patriots. It was special. It was unique. And I think he should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. And I think eventually Wilfork will go in for the uniqueness that he lent to that defense and the way that he played the game. And then Vinatieri's going to go in as the greatest kicker. And to me, the easiest one out of every Hall of Fame possibility this year is Bill Belichick, right? You looked at the list of coaches that were on the list. No one's even close to him.
Yeah.
No one's even close to him. And then I'd like to see Robert Kraft go in. He's eventually going to go in.
He should be in.
Yes,
I don't understand
do
him
it
either.
now.
Yeah.
Get him in there and everything else. It would put a great seal on everything that they've done as an organization that he came in here, wanted to do, that will get done too. So it's just, I think it's pretty easy. The one guy who's not on the finalist list, Mark, I hate to disappoint you, quarterback Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, well, he's got some time.
Because
He's got the
still
NFL
playing.
benefits back. So that's
He just
good.
reset his eligibility. He's going to win another couple of years.
Exactly. So it's pretty funny to watch.
So you think, do you think there'll be any indecision with Bill Belichick? I mean, obviously the resume speaks for itself.
I think if you just sit there and look at his resume,
yes.
No,
not in the resume, but just outside of the resume.
No, I don't. I don't think so. I don't think there'll be any, because there's no questioning at this point. You can bring up anything you want.
Well,
you can bring up anything you want. Spygate.
Yeah.
You can bring up, the way what's going on is personal. Who cares? Just for what he does as a coach and what he's done as a coach. Name me the top 3 coaches in the history of the National Football League.
Yeah.
Right? And his name is in the conversation.
How many packages for WBZ have you done on Jordan and Bill?
None. So I'm good. Don't need it.
I'm just thinking.
Leave that for 11 in the morning.
Okay. I'm just thinking of, it feels to me, because again, I have no idea why Robert Kraft wouldn't be in. All the contributions, not just the Patriots, the contribution to the league, the TV deals.
CBA,
right.
Saving that with Jeff
Brokering the deal.
Saturday.
Correct. They obviously held some of that, the gates against him. I'm just wondering if they'll do that with Belichick or if they have to after what they did with Kraft.
Yeah. I don't think you can, though. I don't think you can. The body of work is too big.
It is. It's right.
You know,
it's more
because you look
explosive.
Go look at the biographies of every coach that was on that list, right? And he's in the contributor list here as he comes out as the coach. There's nobody even close to him. You can take any coach out there.
Yeah.
Super Bowl victories. It's just you just can't come close to his coaching resume.
The resume you cannot touch. What you can think about are the and I'm not saying they should. I'm just wondering.
No, I know what you're saying.
The scandals, and I don't know if they will. I have no idea. The performance post Tom Brady. Didn't get to the playoffs after he left. The organization went down the tubes.
But he's got 2 as the defensive coordinator for
you're right.
the Giants.
It wasn't awful in Cleveland.
Right?
Yeah.
So in the overall body of work,
right.
it's like, to me, it's just too much.
Okay.
Too much. The other thing I wanted to bring up, too, is, as you mentioned earlier, the United States and Sweden are headed for a nice collision clash. New Year's Eve will be that game. They're both 3-0 in their division of the World Juniors. And again, James Hagan's had a couple of goals last night. The kid from Boston College, the number 1 draft pick of the Bruins. Will Zellers also came in the Colorado deal with Middlestat last year. Is having a good tournament so far, too. So some good things as far as Bruins fans are concerned. That's always great. You want to see Canada, U.S. eventually down the road, too. That'll be cool. I wanted to bring that up. And I also wanted to bring up, can we please, as we start the new year, you're going to start January 1st, this week, next week, I don't want to see it drag into spring training. Could you just sign Alex Bregman and move on and if you want to go get a number 1A pitcher, fine. I'm good with that. But could you just sign Alex Bregman and get this team ready to go here? I was thinking this last night, 04, Schilling and Folk, 07, Dice K, but it was more just the young group, which they have now, was Ellsbury and all those players matured. And then in 13, Ben Cherington went and signed Victorino, Napoli, all guys to bring in to win.
When did Lowell and Beckett come in?
Lowell and Beckett came in at 06.
06?
Yeah, so that was part of setting the tone for what they did too. And then in 18, it was J.D. Martinez in spring training.
Yep.
Hopefully that's not a Bregman situation in spring training. Yeah. But with that and the addition of Sonny Cray and what they have with Crochet, and I think Wilton Veras takes care of them, right-handed hitter at first base. Just sign Bregman.
Yep.
Do you think Alex
get
Bregman,
it done and move on?
Do you think Alex Bregman will have signed with the team by the time spring training starts?
It depends on Boris. It depends on what Bregman. It depends on what Bregman told him after that 1 year. This is what I hope. After that 1 year here, he said, Veritek said at one point with Boris, I don't care what you do. I don't care who you shop me to. Try to get the best contract possible, but at the end, I'm staying in Boston. I'm signing with Boston. Do whatever you got to do, but that's where I want to be. And I hope Bregman did the same thing. Or
hopefully.
doesn't.
For the Red Sox sake, at least Bregman. At least. They have to bring Bregman back and then link him with everybody else. Rochi, always a pleasure. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mark.
Great to be with you.
Same.
Coming up next.
Thanks to Ryan Garvin, too.
Ryan, thanks so much as always. Beetle and Phil Perry coming up next. 98.5, the Sports Hub. This is Toucher and Hardy. See ya.
Talk to you tomorrow. Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Celebrate New Year's with Whole Foods Market. Prime members get 20% off all caviar, blinis, and raw cooked and breaded shrimp through January 1st. Ring in the new year with spectacular savings. While supplies last, shop in-store